So I'm not going to tell you his name. His name's not important. Don't go out of your way to find and harass him. Don't give him any kind of engagement off of it. I just think he is another great example of the brain rot that's really infested the youth these days here.
Is it? Hop up this camera and break that camera, you gonna be mad. So stop fucking recording me.
Make my milkshake and chill out.
I'm not making nothing.
You're not making nothing?
I'm not making nothing.
Dude, you heard how she talked to me?
I swear that I'm not making nothing.
Make-
Fuck out of here. Oh, yeah.
Hey!
Inside? I'm not making nothing. You want to stand here? Stand here. We're not saving you. Here.
I'll go back there myself and make a damn milkshake, motherfucker.
Over here. I swear to God, shut you.
Dude, get the hell out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Hold on, I think I may be having some issues with my resolution. Hey, Becca. I'm getting. Oh, no. Now I know why. Hold on, we'll be right back. I'm about to redo this shit.
Is an important public service to try and deter other youngsters from growing up to be this kind of failure of a person. So I just learned about a new prankster who's been at the game for over a year, and the only thing he has to show for it is a few arrests and a community of children that just shoot spitballs and make fun of him like a bad birthday party clown. So I'm not going to tell you his name. His name's not important. Don't go out of your way to find and harass him. Don't give him any kind of engagement off of it.
All right, so I guess my just forgive the fact my video is not playing that great. I'm checking. I'm sure the audio is, but yeah, y'all know how deep fucking living in the damn sticks.
I just think he is another great example of the brain rot that's really infested.
This dude is motherfucking literally like the real life version of the fucking cartoon characters that people have to fucking deal with on here. I mean, just he embodies everything. Just watch this shit. Well, listen to it.
The youth these days here.
Is it?
Hop up this camera and break that camera, you gonna be mad. So stop fucking recording me.
Make my milkshake and chill out.
Make my milkshake and chill out. Man, if I was her, I would have slapped the shit out of his ass.
You're not making nothing? Dude, you heard how she talked to me?
I swear that I'm not making nothing.
Make-
Fuck out of here. Oh, yeah.
Hey!
Inside?
Yeah, he getting them out the way because they've gotten, you know, what they're doing. They're pushing people's buttons. They're mentally fucking with people to get a rise out of them, reaction for fucking content. The only difference is these motherfuckers have got the fucking audacity and want to be, you know, and want to go out in the fucking public, like their local communities or next town over and do this dumb shit.
You want to stand here? Stand here. We're not saving you. Fuck out of here. Here.
I'll go back there myself.
So I'll give them points for the fact that, you know, they got cojones that doing it in a way.
Make a damn milkshake, motherfucker.
I swear to God, shit out of you.
Dude, get the hell out of here.
Woo! Manager said I'll beat the shit out of you. You come over this camera.
We gotta go. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh, I just
yes,
want to get
the
arrested
classic
again.
prank. Harass customer service employees and be an insufferable asshole. So this is how I found his content, and it turns out this is all he does. His entire existence is like this perpetual miasma of misery that haunts his community, where he and the after-school cringe club latch onto his ass to suckle a bit of clout out of it, get together, and just make complete strangers' days worse. And then he films it and proudly posts it online. And I do mean proud. This is his pride and joy. Every time he gets arrested, he wears it like a Boy Scout badge of honor. I legitimately couldn't imagine being his parents. The shame would be overwhelming. I would rather my child grow up to be a professional toilet seat kisser than grow up to be a prankster like this kid.
Here.
I'll go back there myself and make a damn milkshake, motherfucker.
I swear to God, shit out.
A completely flat and hollow threat from this affluent douchebag who I have no doubt has never faced any real repercussions from his actions. And he has the world's worst laugh. His laugh sounds like Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy, just some real goofy shit. It's fucking ridiculous. He is like actually biologically engineered through evolution to be the perfect cringe loser. Now, you may have noticed a lot of cuts in this, and that's because, of course, they leave out the context that led to this escalation and exactly what happened here to get to this point. But the manager has spoke up about this situation afterwards. And I almost can't help but appreciate the delusion from the prankster and his friends to think that somehow they look tough here or look cool. Because in this situation, the manager is the biggest W by far. The manager stood his ground, handled everything really well, I thought, and wasn't afraid to like challenge them if this guy really did follow through on his threat to go back there. And if the goof troop really did jump over that counter and attack or do anything stupid like that, they would have 100% ended up on the fuck around and find out matrix, because it turns out the manager is an actual trained fighter. So there's no doubt in my mind he would have beat all their asses, steamed their ham thoroughly. In that video, he does also go over how rude they were being and how everything kept escalating because of them, which of course was cut out from his post about it. Now you're probably wondering how old the doofus committee here is from the pranksters, because the main guy has the face of a 13-year-old boy. But would you believe me if I told you that he's actually 19 years old? There's a
He's 19 with the fucking face of a 30.
video as well as an article going over one of his mini runs in with authorities, and he says, "How are you my height? I'm 19." I mean, I almost feel bad for him being 19 years old and being stuck with the face of like a 12-year-old Xbox Live Call of Duty gamer. That's rough. Like, there's no doubt he probably feels insecure about that, and that might be why he's lashing out so much against his community around him and turned to the dark side, going down the prankster path, the public nuisance asshole road.
When you guys walk up on people that you guys know don't like you, that have chased you around before, someone's eventually going to probably beat you guys up.
That's what we're aiming for.
Why?
Low.
That's what we're aiming for. Low key. This asshole probably didn't even bother to check if that wasn't a fucking arrestable offense, trying to provoke somebody in public to fight.
Just get some content out of it.
Okay.
Ah!
Okay, so you're going to be the victim of an assault for content.
A super honest
Like, so you're gonna be the victim of an assault for content? No, they're not thinking they're gonna be the victim. They think they're gonna whoop ass back.
answer from a super big douchebag. They keep pushing people, harassing them until they snap, hoping that they'll either attack them or have some kind of big blow up.
Now, he just described not only the modus operandi for that 19-year-old with a 13-year-old face-looking asshole, but also the work-verse summed up in one sentence.
That they can film and post online for content. Heavens to Betsy. What a turbo loser. Yikes. He's giggling and smiling while giving this answer to the officer. He is so delusional. He really thinks that this is his ticket to internet updates, that precious clout and attention online, when in reality, it's most likely just going to be his ticket to the hospital or jail.
What? What?
You guys all walk away.
We didn't even do nothing. Wow, bro. Yup.
Every time this asshole
We didn't
gets
even do nothing, gaslight.
arrested, it's like the happiest moment of his life. It's like Christmas morning every single time he finds himself in a pair of handcuffs, because he's so delusional that he believes that that's going to help the content blow up or help him go viral, and it hasn't. It doesn't, and hopefully it never will. So he just keeps doing these extremely stupid stunts, calling them pranks, harassing just normal people in the world, eventually gets the cops called on him, and then him and his friends are like, oh, I can't believe it. What?
What do you mean?
He's taking pictures.
Yo, who the hell is that?
Stop right there. Stop right there.
Yo, get that camera off me. Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Huh? Get the hell on out of here.
Good one. This guy just loves treating workers as props for his videos. I still can't believe he's actually 19 years old. He looks like he still needs mommy and daddy to drive him to this Home Depot so he can film these pranks with his buddies. I will probably never understand who actually watches something like that and finds any enjoyment out of it. Even if I was 12 years old, I don't see myself even smiling at it. It's just annoying. As a viewer, and I feel real bad for anyone that is unfortunate enough to be subjected to one of his pranks. Like, I really don't think I'll ever understand why kids grow up wanting to do this, or why kids somehow even get moderately entertained by that.
Jersey.
Don't pet Jersey right now. We're just saying that.
You got me.
Yeah, I was thinking he smelled like shit.
What you say to my dog?
Yeah, I said I thought your dog smelled like shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Well, I bet you smell like shit.
Wait, it's a dog, sir.
Get out of here. Man, get out of here.
Calm down.
All right, don't say my dog is this or that. Get the fuck out.
I was just saying the dog smelled like shit, sir.
Good one. Again, man, Junior, you're really on a hot streak with these bangers. Your dog smells like shit prank. People can't even just relax on
Maybe he had some shit on his shoe. Huh. Like, not the old guy, but the fucking doofus fucking harassing the old guy.
a bench outside
I would have
with
been like, well, check your shoe, sonny.
their pet without you going out of your way to bother them. Nothing is safe from your cringe apocalypse that you bring with you everywhere you go. Everything this guy and his friends have ever done that I can find is just actual trash. It's just bothering people in the world and calling it a prank. It sucks. It's just public nuisance degeneracy. And I'll always take a little bit of time to make fun of some pieces of shit like this because I think it is an invaluable service to provide. Nobody should end up like this guy or his team here. And they're not really a team. This guy I already know is insufferable to be around. The only reason his friends orbit him is because he has the tiniest bit of clout online and they try and suck a little bit out of that from his bosom for themselves. That's the only reason they stomach him for however brief a time when they're filming these
Work yours, members.
awful videos together. They're not real friends. It's just a bunch of fake people surrounding themselves with each other and convincing each other that making these pranks is somehow going to get them to the top. It's just fucking pathetic. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. So yeah.
See ya, Charlie. Y'all make sure to check out. You can sub to a good old Charlie at Penguin Penguin and the number 0. Hold on just a second. Hold on, Branny. Oh, me. Watch out, buddy. Watch out. There you go. I think I need to give you a trim on your hair right there. Sorry, y'all. I'm checking. Something's got my attention on Brownie. What do you got there, buddy? On your. Got some food or something on there. Trying to make sure he's clean. I'll trim that up later on your head. That extra hair. All right, yeah, but I thought that was interesting to share. Oh, you don't want to get people like that. Like, that's how you gotta find content to bother other people and
If I was
shit.
to ever
That's
do
not
a
really. It's not really, content. I mean, hell, I got more respect for people that just fucking make fake shit up more than I do that, because at least everybody involved in it want to be involved in it. Do 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 do. Oh, do 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 do. You dish, you dish. Ooh. Oh no, you ruined it. That would have been a whole lot better without cheese. Hey, doggy. Man, she got some cake.
See, that's the plot. The spot done got high and can't nobody do nothing since old boy got shot. I got a partner on the west side getting for the cheap. He just let me get 2 for the free last week. So I owe him, but I really can't pay him. Well, I could, but you know what I'm saying? It ain't that time for me to loop back up because every time he always fuck that up. So I'm gonna get all of that and split it with us. Cause this is a circle of trust and we can get it. We got the whole motherfucking scheme laid out. Now let me tell you how the whole shit gonna play out. We take the media route and serve content and act stupid like we really ain't got no sense. And then slide the medicine up under that. And everybody who real, they gonna fuck with that. We need to get some shirts and some fucking hats. Hey, every time we rap, state real facts. Cause real niggas love to fucking hear that. Gonna be a few niggas that hate it, but that's okay because it's already been stated. They been accounted for, but they don't really count. I mixed it with this hustle, and then I started getting this paper straight off the muscle. But that's enough though. A lot of niggas can't even fuck with us, bro. The way we doing this shit. Hey, welcome back to the show before I ruin that bit. Okay. See, that's the plot. We the spot done got high.
I like that. The fuck?
And dozens of LA County Sheriff's deputies have been ordered to show their tattoos and be interviewed about alleged gang ties.
The Jump Out Boys, for example, that's a tattoo of a skull holding a revolver. And for each kill, a bullet and smoke is added to the chamber of the revolver.
Gangs, mafia, organized crime. These are all words associated with unlawfulness. The bad guys are involved in the felonious activities, and the cops try to put them away. Now, for a change, today we're going to try switching it up a bit, and we'll be taking a look at the gangs formed within the Los Angeles Police Department. There have been reports on around 20 gangs that exist within the LAPD. 19 civilians have been murdered, none of whom were Caucasian, and many of them faced mental health issues. That's right. It's some of LA's finest who are involved in criminal and racial activities that can't be condoned. The history of these gangs dates back to the 1970s, but a lot of light was shed on this case after the tragic passing of George Floyd in 2020. The police department refers to these gangs as cliques, as they're usually closed groups, and only members of particular ethnicities and races can become a part of them. But in practice, they're in fact gangs. There are specific requirements new members should fulfill, like shooting a civilian or mishandling paperwork. They've also got hand signs and tattoos, and are involved in some violent law-breaking activities.
Yo, this is some fucked up shit.
In the 20th century, cops were notorious for carrying out drug deals, making false arrests, and incurring police brutality. Some of those activities are still in practice. It's believed that 1 in every 6 cops gets an invitation.
Yeah, because they haven't got fucking body cams out to every single fucking place yet still. How the fuck do we not have body cams for every agency? Municipal, sheriff, state, federal, every single fucking agency.
Subgroups, and this ritual has been growing for the last 5 years.
And them bitches need to be mandated to be on 24 fucking 7, except when they're on breaks, lunch, and off, basically. And they ought to have a way where, well, obviously, you know, if they operate their lights or do any type of thing to do any type of stop, but aren't logged into their fucking CAD or their computer or what have you, then there needs to be something that's also built into the vehicles, which I think some of them already have. But like I said, every place, because some places are still fucking using vehicles they got 5-6 years ago on a grant, and whatever, 10 years ago, and those vehicles were really, really low mileage and they're still running fine. So they need to put a computer in there, especially for the officers that take their vehicles home, which is where we had, if you remember the Daniel Holtzclaw case, he had, I believe Oklahoma had something like that. And so they were able to tell that he had activated his lights and stuff. Like he had pulled this person over without doing it actually on duty, which was a big red flag in his little fucking fucked up case that unraveled. Yeah. He got 200 and something years.
In the 1990s, the LAPD has paid more than $50
But they need to have that everywhere. Like I doubt all the cars we got here in our place are equipped with that stuff. I know for a fact that everybody doesn't always have a body cam on. Some of the main, like I've noticed recently our sheriff's department does and stuff. So maybe it's changing.
million in fines due to unlawful activities by members of its own department. According to many reports, there are 4 gangs that are still listed as currently active in files of the police department. The Banditos, Vikings, 3,000 Boys, and Executioners, each being located at a separate precinct. We'll be looking at all of these police gangs closely to find out what they do and how they operate. So let's jump into it. But before that, I'd like to thank this video's sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Something people don't realize is that when they sue for an injury, they're not suing the person who caused the injury. They're suing the insurance company that's sitting on billions of dollars. And that's why I'm happy to introduce Morgan & Morgan. Forget about the hassle of visiting law offices. With Morgan & Morgan, you can submit your claim in just 8 clicks on your phone. And here's the best part. It costs you nothing unless they win your case. So why wait? Protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's not just a lawyer. You get an entire team working for you. They've got case investigators, paralegals, and specialists, all focused on getting you the maximum settlement. So remember, if you need a personal injury lawyer, there's only one name to remember. Morgan & Morgan. They've got your back. For more information, go to forthepeople.com or dial #LAW, that's #529 from your cell phone. This gang is based at the Linwood station of the LAPD, which is now dysfunctional, in case you were wondering. It meets the
I wonder why.
definition of a gang, and its members are sworn deputies of the sheriff. Wow, what a perfect world we live in. The Vikings are among the oldest of the LAPD gangs. Each member has a Viking tattoo along with the number 998, which stands for an officer-involved shooting. You could guess what that means, but in case you didn't, it means the officer has fired the weapon on a civilian. Brutal? I agree. The gang was in its prime in the early 1990s. The lawyers were suing the police department for hurting their clients. Most of these people were of color, and this definitely falls under hate crime. There have been many instances of wrongful shootings that got traced back to the Vikings. In 1998, Paul Tanaka, a deputy in the LAPD as well as a member of the Vikings, faced a wrongful death suit of a young Korean boy. Deputy Mike Osborne said in an interview with The Times that getting an invitation to join the Vikings was considered prestigious, but it meant that you have to keep your mouth shut and follow the code of silence. Osborne and his wife retired from the force after testifying against corrupt officers. The Osbornes, along with their kids, were shot at in their own house in 1996. Yep, what you heard in the movies was correct. Snitches end up in ditches, which might sound inappropriate at the moment, but it's true. Rest in peace to the Osbornes. The East LA Banditos. They are a highly exclusive group that consists of Latino members of the LAPD that are headquartered at the East LA station. The members have a common tattoo on their legs of a skeleton wearing a sombrero, holding a smoking revolver and a sheriff's badge. Pretty specific, huh? After taking a close look, you could tell that the sombrero represents the Latino community. All the tattoos are numbered, so the sequence of the members and seniority could be identified. The gun and the smoke could mean a bunch of stuff. It's an old gang, who knows what they were thinking. It's been alleged that the Banditos don't let women become a part of their group. The gang oversees all the staff meetings and get-togethers, even outside the precinct. The main motive of this gang is to work backward, that is, to act first and find probable cause later. This leads to a ton of criminal activities like false arrests, damage to civilian property, and most commonly, planting evidence. Sometimes, in order to save face, the members of Bandito would plant false evidence that supports their case, which is a highly punishable offense. Oftentimes, the officers are so sure they have their guy, they don't even think about getting evidence, which gives birth to the issue of prejudice, which we still have to live with. Guadalupe Lopez's case. Lopez started out her career in the LAPD in 2003 when she started working at the LA County Jail. She was transferred to the East LA station in 2011, home of the, you guessed it, Banditos. During her probation period, she was asked to pair up with Deputy Christopher Wargo, who was a lapdog of the Banditos. Wargo was seen writing other deputies' reports, which was a requirement to join the gang. Now, in her case, Lopez stated that she was sexually harassed continuously by her male counterparts. She was asked to meet up and be used for sexual favors, or her probation period would last indefinitely. There had been several incidents of Lopez being publicly harassed, and she retaliated by refusing to play their games. It was during this time of her life that she found out about the godfather of East LA, Officer Eric Valdez, whom we'll talk about in a minute. Lopez was told that there were explicit photos of many female LAPD officers that could be used for blackmail. In one particular incident, she was driving towards a location due to a priority call. Wargo reached the location and blocked her patrol car. She tried to get back into the vehicle, but she was blocked, and the Banditos associates screamed at her, telling her to submit herself to Eric Valdez or there'd be problems for her. In another incident, a male officer followed her to the garage and kicked down a garbage can. Began screaming at Lopez immediately afterward to clean up the mess she made. There were countless other incidents of sending her on a call minutes before her shift was over to make her life miserable. All that for not submitting herself and being used as an object. The Compton Executioners. Operating out of the Compton station, the Executioners are one of the biggest subgroups operating in the LAPD. The members are given calf tattoos of a skeleton that's got a military-style headgear, also speculated to be a Nazi symbol. The letters CPT are marked, and the number 28 is written in Roman numerals. The tattoos are given as a sign of membership after the officer shoots a civilian. CPT represents Compton, and 28 symbolizes Compton as the 28th substation of the LASD. No women or African-American men are allowed within this closed group. There had been an increasing number of cases of ghost guns at the Compton station. Now, if you don't know what a ghost gun is, it's when an officer shoots a civilian, claiming the civilian was carrying a gun and was endangering the officer's life. But in reality, there was never a gun to begin with. This type of police brutality was exposed by Austreberto Gonzalez, who worked at the Compton station for 5 years. Gonzalez identified Deputy Miguel Vega as a possible suspect. Deputy Vega killed an 18-year-old boy, Andres Guardado, which resulted in civilian protests against him and his partner Chris Hernandez, who were both suspected to be members of the Executioners.
Well, that's fucking, that's fantastic to know that stuff is going on still. I mean, obviously it's not. Fuck, it's right here. I might as well.
Crack squad. Crack squad. Oh, hey, folks. Just thought I'd do another one of these midday videos in my garage here. I just used this tool here and I had to cut off these tranny lines off the car. Plus, I had to recharge and update the software on the flux capacitor. I've been doing this kind of stuff since I was 12. Anyway, local business here. Support local business. It's called Papaw's Parts and More. It's a local garage. Nothing big deal, really. But I noticed on the internet that there's this honey badger trying to accuse me of something.
I don't know how many times I got to go through this. Honey badger.
Oh, man. Very rare is it that people tell on themselves. Just outright, just come on here and tell on yourself without telling on yourself. Nice response video. It was 100% you.
Okay, I do not subscribe to Mike 12 Point.
You don't have
So I
to.
wouldn't even have a clue when he was doing a live.
Bullshit. You know exactly when he's doing lives and when he ain't. Dude, how many times have you said, please tell Mike 12 Point to tell Ryan I said hi? Please tell Ryan I said hey. I know he talks to him. Act like you don't know when he goes live.
I stopped paying any attention to him at all when he proved to me that he lacked any sense of integrity or just common decency.
See that right there? So he gives us his motive too. That's the reason you reported him. It's because, like you said, he has no common decency for anybody. And all, I mean, it's even more rare for somebody telling themselves and give their motive and the reason why they did it. Onward.
So I just have no interest in listening to it. And even if I did,
I don't know if the dude's lying or not. I'm just watching a fucking video out where I'm looking at local YouTubers now, y'all. Because I know not everybody's fucking interested in the true crime shit.
Even if you did. Even if you did. It's Mike 12 Point we're talking about here. Mike motherfucking 12 Point. Of course you have interest in it. Get real, Papaw.
I don't have the time to listen to all these live streams. I just absolutely do not have the time, nor would I dedicate the time to it if I had it.
You got the time, all right. You got the time to catch this honey badger, which is kind of a fairly small channel, but no offense. Shout out to you, honey badger. I see you in the comments a lot. I think you're a pretty cool person, but you got the time to fucking dispute this and to try to get ahead of this and to make a whole video in the middle of what you're doing. This wasn't me, man.
Don't watch all these live streams like you simpletons do.
Now, I mean, some of the lives that I used to watch, I stopped watching people that fucked with me. You know, it's obvious why I had done it, because it wasn't healthy, and that's what they fucking want. But I don't know. I didn't even know fucking him and Mike had anything going. Like, I can't keep up with all this shit.
You don't watch all these lives. That's all you've talked about for the last year almost, is all these live streams that you watch and how everybody's condemned if they sit in a live stream with somebody, right? It's your whole talking point, dude. You're so ass backwards it ain't funny. It is funny, but in a sad way.
Just quit. Why would I report some channel that I don't subscribe to and don't listen to?
Here's the question of the day. Why would you report somebody that you don't subscribe to? I don't know. Why'd you report Johnny Gobble to the—
Well, I mean, if they put out a video and said something about him that wasn't true or something, then, I mean, I could see why he done it. Maybe he just ain't one of the type of people let known. Then again, he might have not done it, gotcha, man. You know, some people, just because somebody responds to an allegation made doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty. Some people feel like that they owe a response. Other people feel like if it's ludicrous or whatever, they don't owe a response. And depending upon who's looking at the fucking result and what the person did, that they're going to judge one way or the other.
To the child support agency.
But I just want you to know that I talked to your child support caseworker today.
Hmm? We'll get to that in a minute because he answers that question for us too.
Get a life, okay? I'm not scum like you people are. I'm actually a decent human being, and I don't do stuff to people to virtue signal to a bunch of other dirt bags that'll tell me how great I am once I do it.
There it is. So you're not a dirtbag. You have a life, and you don't virtue signal, right? Isn't that what you were doing whenever you turned Johnny Gobble in? Was virtue signaling for Ryan Upchurch? It's rhetorical, so you don't have to answer it. You don't have to scream at your screen and get violent with people near you. Just go take a bike ride and cool off, man. Pop them teeth out, though. I'd hate to see them fucking blow out. But, man, that's exactly what you do. And I want to take this opportunity to apologize. Each and everybody out there who has had to deal with this guy and put up with his videos in some sort or be doxxed by him, harassed by him, and listen to this fucking over and over shit of, I didn't do it, and you guys are crazy, it's not the same thing, and blah, 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 blah. Because I feel that I hold some responsibility to that. Some of you guys may not know this, but it's actually...
That's funny because I'm going to criticize this because he talks about harassed by him because his videos and saying he didn't do this or he doxed this person or whatever. And Gotcha Man had gotten, he'd have went over here recently how somebody had doxed him and so put his address and how it was, but he wasn't making that big a deal about it as some other people, but he was still saying it was wrong. It's fucking weird, man, because this is one of the same guys that goes over in fucking Fusion's lives and watches the makeup bullshit that Fusion does. That's not comedy. Like, at least a lot of Gotcha Man's videos, the ones that, if they're not about a particular person all the time, I enjoy those. I mean, I like to sometimes when he does have some good videos. Like, I'm not going to fucking deny that. But the dude's fucking a little wishy-washy on shit.
Partly my fault.
I mean, to me he is, in my opinion.
YouTube. In fact, his very first video that he happened to be virtue signaling for Ryan Upchurch, he put out about me and said,
he actually may have a point on this part. I don't know.
You know what, Gotcha Guy? Gotta thank you for inspiring me to make a video.
So I got to hand it to you, Gotcha Guy. You've inspired me to make a video, and I haven't made one in a long time.
On YouTube's. Ain't done it in a long time.
Yeah, that was when
Gotcha
Man. Yeah, that was last year.
I'm sorry, guys. Fuck, man. If only I had known that I was waking Papaw up for good. Anyway, yeah, so he proceeds in those two videos to virtue signal for Ryan and say things like this.
It's guys like you, guys like Johnny Gobble, is the reason why people, artists like Ryan Upchurch close themselves off to fans.
Ooh. Why is this? It always has a little bit of a gay undertone, doesn't it? Little bit of a gay undertone. A little bit of a. That's why he won't let us get close to him. Set the scene, Ryan. Ryan,
What
people want to
the fuck?
see you chopping trees down and driving big lifted trucks
Fuck.
and getting
Hell no.
dirty, muddy water all over them biceps.
Fucking stop.
Oh, Papaw, you don't want me to play that clip too, do you? Ryan, you need to tell B-list people don't want to see you doing this, doing that. They want to see you chopping wood, man, flexing your muscles. They want to see you sweat. But yeah, man, that was his first video to me. Virtue signaling to Ryan. Saying, Ryan, I got your back. The same virtue signal he did when he said, "Yes, anime, you're a liar. You weren't in the military, and Ryan's right. I think you're a piece of crap." Man. Maybe that's what this whole thing is. You're so mad at yourself for the bullshit that you did that now, like, you see other people doing it and you're trying to, like, stop them. Don't do what I did. You're just fucking virtue signaling and it fucking sucks, man. It didn't work for me. I just look like an idiot calling somebody's child support officer.
That's not who I am. So get a grip.
Get a grip. Get some fucking fixing, dude. You notice every video he does where he's just facing, the camera's just facing a phone screen or a computer screen.
What about admiring somebody that's got a channel who lied to someone and played on the fact that they had been watching, stalking them, seeing that they support these predator hunting channels and stuff. So they decide on this one guy that they're fucking having issues with at the time before they come fully out that they're attacking me and recording and doing the same shit to me privately, and they're going to come out and start doing it more publicly. Then when they lie and say, "Oh, that one account's actually a 15-year-old girl and he's being this way, being that way over there, and it's not right, and he's aware of it. Here's the number. Do the right thing, please." You know, like, no one will know you did it. And then they go and they tell him he done it. You know, what do you call that? I mean, that's just as fucked up as whether it was child support or anything. And I know people are gonna be like, "Well, you follow through with it. You didn't have to do it." No, but think about what you're saying. So I just was supposed to what? Lie and tell dude, like, "All right, I'll do it," and then say, "No, I don't want to do it. That's between him and that girl's parents that they're letting her." Like, no, I didn't. I didn't choose to do that. I chose to do what I thought would be the right thing. And you know what? When I found out it was fucking what it was and I'd been duped, I tried to go out of my way to fix it, including calling back and be like, "Hey, I called you here a while back and I need to tell you and explain it to you what happened." And you know, and you know, they didn't want me to do that, obviously, which that's fine, you know, because I'd already felt bad enough, so I wasn't gonna do anything they didn't want me to do from that point on. But yeah, so I definitely don't have respect for that dude. This motherfucker, we've been making our videos reflecting back, and we ain't got to call anybody. Well, let me say this: I ain't got to call anybody, and I don't think the other people that I'm been hanging around call anybody either.
You can really hear that he ain't got no teeth in. And this is the dude that puts fake teeth in to make fun of somebody.
Gotcha, man.
A dude that ain't got a fucking top tooth in his head that ain't detachable like a Decepticon. This motherfucker, he got a whole Lego piece up top.
All right, that was a little funny.
And he's talking shit about Wade Deaver's teeth. The same dude talks shit about virtue signals. The dude that talks about how shitty it is when people reports people. The dude talks.
You got friends the same way, you got you, man. I'm sorry, but you do. Man, okay, never mind, not friends. YouTube acquaintances, I'll put it that
Talks
way.
about how wrong it is to dox somebody. Doxes people.
Can't assume that you're
But it
friends
ain't
with
the
people.
same. What if you were in the OK Corral and somebody shot 36 times at you and you shot once back? When the cops come and they say, "Did you both shoot at each other?" Do you really have to say yes? What kind of world do you live in? Real quick, I have finally purchased a P.O. box, which I think could be fun, right? And I didn't do it for handouts or for anybody to send me anything. You know, I don't need anything free. But, well, literally like a fucking $100 for a P.O. box? What the fuck? But
Yeah, they're expensive.
y'all want to send me anything?
I don't think they're that much down here.
Nah, can't say that. You guys want to send me? That's a good idea, right? Or you could ship me. Huh? Send me shit, fuckers.
Like I said, there is stuff he does. It's funny. I don't just fucking hate people just to hate them. But I will give you criticism. And I can take criticism too. Unless it's bullshit. No, it's bullshit criticism. I like to call it out. Hell, even I criticize and know I'm wrong sometimes.
I'm Professor David Wilson. As a criminologist, I'm often asked, what's it like to interview a serial killer?
This is a tape-recorded interview. Date is 11/17/84.
In this new series, I'm going to take you on a journey into the dark heart of the police interrogation room. Using cutting-edge lip-sync technology, we'll bring to life the actual taped confessions of some of the world's most notorious murderers. And bring you face to face with evil.
Put her into the sleeping bag. No, I just slung it in the car.
And along with forensic psychologist Professor Michael Brooks, I will analyze their interviews in unparalleled detail.
And while he was asleep, I put a noose around his neck. I told him with the noose. He hardly struggled.
Like the police detectives who interviewed them, you'll experience firsthand their cold and calculating minds.
I've never gone with my mum. I knew that she favored my sister and me.
Their wicked words, now seen being spoken for the very first time, will never be forgotten.
The Hawkins girl's head was severed and taken up the road about 25 to 50 yards.
I probably ain't gonna watch all that. That's a
trial.
fucking.
None of those things fit the mold. I can't understand how he came to be so monstrous. The others I can. This one I can't. I don't understand how you can become that detached and cruel and hideously arrogant.
Make no bones about it. I am looking for an opportunity to tell the story as best I can in the way that makes sense to me and the way it'll help.
He did not look like a serial killer, and he did not speak like a serial killer. He had a very direct but manipulative honesty about the way he spoke to other people that made them believe that what he was saying was in fact the truth.
A media frenzy surrounded Bundy on his arrest, and he was determined that media frenzy wouldn't fade once he was incarcerated. While sat in prison, Bundy plotted to become the curator of his own legend, and he was helped by the TV cameras. Bundy's sinister celebrity status was achieved by becoming one of the first murderers to get global airtime when the court trials became televised in the United States. Electing to defend himself, he turned the courtroom into a stage. His quick mind and good looks made him the first superstar serial killer. However, Bundy's court antics failed to win the jury over, and he was sentenced to death by electrocution.
In representing himself at his murder trials, Ted Bundy is the star of the show. Center stage. Everybody else is nothing. He's on television. World news are watching him. He is famous.
he became very skilled at arguing his case, and he argued in court. And in one case, the judge actually commended him on his performance. He actually put up very good arguments, but he wanted to be in control. He enjoyed the whole game. And court is very much theatre, it's very much acting and role playing and everything else. And he was very good at that because he was a psychopath.
Whilst on death row in Florida, Bundy became fixated with keeping his name in the headlines. And he achieved this by granting a series of extraordinary interviews with detectives, claiming to offer them information about the whereabouts of other victims.
This is a tape recorded interview between Bob Keppel, Dave Reichert, and Ted Bundy. The date is 11/17/84.
It was Bundy's nemesis, Seattle detective Bob Keppel, the man who had helped to bring the curtain down on his murderous ways, whom the killer was most keen to talk to.
I can't remember what night of the week it was. Thursday night, I believe. I don't know. 11 to 12, probably closer to 12, on a warm Seattle May night. I mean, I think it was clear. Weather had been fairly good. I was moving up the alley using a briefcase and some crutches, and a young woman walked down. I saw her round the north end of the block into the alley and stop for a moment and then keep on walking down the alley toward me. And about halfway down the block, I encountered her and asked her to help me carry the briefcase, which she did, and we walked back up the alley.
He's reveling in it. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear it in everything he says. He's convinced that not only is he back in control, but that he is dictating the course and terms of the dialogue and what will happen to him. He even says, I think at a couple of points, that it's unfortunate. I'm going to need more time. It's in your best interest that you give me more time because I have so many valuable things I can share with you. The arrogance is extraordinary.
Basically, when I reached the car, what happened was I knocked her unconscious with a crowbar. Did you see it? No. There were some handcuffs there, along with the crowbar, and they handcuffed her and put her in the passenger side of the car and drove away. Was she alive or dead? Oh, no, she was unconscious, but she was very much alive. So the long and short of it was that I again knocked her unconscious and strangled her and drove her about 10 yards into the small grove of trees that was there.
Okay, Michael. Ted Bundy, one of the most discussed serial killers in the world. Everybody has an opinion
Piece
about
of
Ted
shit,
Bundy.
man.
Everybody wants
Fucking
to talk
revolting,
about Ted Bundy.
but interesting at
And
the
I
same
think
time.
what's interesting for me is that he's talking about Ted Bundy in a very particular set of circumstances. He's on death row and he's trying to buy time to stave off the execution. Did you pick up a number of places where he's trying to provide detail but not really provide detail?
But that's a common mechanism for many serial killers, that they'll only disclose information when it's to their advantage or to their benefit.
Yeah, Israel Keys tried to do the same thing, and then once they had actually shared the information with Pennsylvania, and then it got out, then he was pissed because he had a child, and he didn't want his child to grow up or read about it and anything like that. And at that point, it was too late. And then not long after that, he took his life. He took his own life before there was a trial or anything.
Again, they'll engage in game playing, that they'll offer a little bit, but actually it could be a red herring. So they're wanting to play with the authorities in terms of information that they give. They're wanting to
it's a game of cat and mouse.
Of time. They're wanting to seem to cooperate, but not really. And it's all on their terms.
Up until this point, Bundy had been vague about his modus operandi. And what he had done with his victims' bodies. All of that was to change.
Up that dirt road.
We're not gonna listen to any of that bullshit.
Start using her and abusing her and raping her.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's anyways, let's go on to something else. I really don't want to watch that shit. I didn't know that they had made something like that though. I thought you think that you've seen everything about something and then you see something that you hadn't and it fucking gets you back into the whole shit again. I really don't feel like getting back into that case. I spent probably about a year solid reading from Anne's perspective and then Liz's, and then I finally watched the movies and the confession tapes. But I don't remember hearing. Well, yeah, I do. Yeah, okay, no, I do, yeah. Let's see. This was one that I got into recently, the Zodiac, but
As far as whether or not Arthur Lee,
there's kind of like conflicting things on whether or not he really is the Zodiac or not. I think they think it was this one guy, Arthur Lee
I told
Allen.
all this to the other officer.
Which other officer?
From Vallejo.
Remember his name?
No, but it was right after the murder at the lake.
And what did you tell this officer?
I told him that I'd gone to Salt Point that weekend to skin dive, that I was alone, but I met a couple there. I have their names at home if you want them.
That would be great, Arthur.
Lee.
What?
Lee. Nobody calls me Arthur. Also, that day when I came home, my neighbor saw me. It was around 4, but I forgot to tell the other officer that.
Neighbor's name?
Bill White. He died a week or so afterwards. Heart attack, so I didn't think to call to follow up. The knives I had in my car with the blood on them, that blood came from a chicken that I killed for dinner. What? I had knives in my car that weekend. Maybe Bill saw them and called the other officer on me.
Well, we'll be checking in on that. Let me ask you something else. Were you ever in Southern California at any time in 1966?
Is this about the Riverside killing?
Yes.
Well, I guess I was there around that time. I used to go down there a lot. I like the auto races.
Foreman says that you're ambidextrous.
No, that's untrue.
You can't write with both hands.
My teachers tried to make me when I was a kid, but I couldn't. I'm left-handed.
He also said that you made statements about killing school children.
That is horrible. That's a horrible thing to say.
So you aren't angry about being fired from Valley Springs for touching your students?
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Damn, that's chilling.
Thank you.
May I see it? May I see it? Where'd you get it?
Zodiac.
From my mother 2 years ago.
That's very sweet. So tell me something, Arthur. You don't remember anyone you might have had a conversation with regarding the Zodiac?
Maybe Ted Kidder of Phil Tucker at Vallejo Recreation. But I couldn't be positive. I used to work there. The most dangerous game.
What?
The Most Dangerous Game. That's why you're here, isn't it? It was my favorite book in high school. It's about this man who waits for people to get shipwrecked on this island. Because he was tired of hunting animals, he hunted the people for the challenge.
And man is the most dangerous animal of all.
That's the whole point of the story. Great book. Or at least that's what I told Phil. There you go.
Sure.
That guy played him really good, I thought. Oh, looks like she put out a video.
Hey guys, I just wanted to pop back on here for just a second. Sorry that there's noise in the background. I have my little fan sitting beside me. But anyways, I went live on YouTube just a bit ago and was just chit-chatting with some of the people who popped in. But I was talking about the subconscious mind, and I want to reiterate something. I made a comment of how our brain doesn't know anybody but us, but it wasn't our brain, because our brain is physical and our brain is like, you know, how we function. It functions, it runs our whole body. It's like our motor
Brain is a conduit to the mind.
system or whatever. But our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a negative statement and a positive statement. Our subconscious mind only responds to whatever we say and acts accordingly.
That's true.
So with that being said, AD and I were talking about the power.
But you can't. Here's the thing, though, because I know what they're gonna. I know where this is going. I got into this long, like this used to really. I mean, you know, that's why I've been trying to like get back into esoteric study. But which is why I got a course, but I haven't started it just yet. I'm busy with other stuff right now. The thing is that to be able to make changes at that level, you got to be able to get the brain to a certain frequency. And most people, especially when you're starting out and you haven't meditated before, and even if you have for a while, you can't just get there through meditation. I mean, you can, but you can't, like, because number one, most of us don't even know or have the muscles built up in the lower part of our abdomen to be able to breathe deep enough and be able to hold, because to get to the brainwave state that you need, where you could actually make changes to the subconscious mind, you have to be at a state where the megahertz that's being outputted, the cycles, or is slowed down. And yeah, most people can get to like normal waking consciousness is beta. Here, let me show. You got okay, here you go. You got beta, which is your normal waking consciousness, which is, anxiety dominant, active, external attention, and basic amateur meditation gets you to like the lower end of the frequency on beta. All right. It takes a lot of practice just then to go down And if somebody makes it down to about 12, you're right at the cross of alpha and beta. All right. So you have passive attention at that level. And if you can get to that level, then you're helping regenerate brain cells and everything else, and you are actively relaxing. But theta, as you can see, deeply relaxed, inward focused. So you need to be between 7 to 8 cycles per second, or hertz, to be able to get that inward focus. And then if you go to delta, you're asleep. And one of the mentors I used to have a lot more in person whenever I lived where I used to live. I miss those days sometimes. He can get people to that state, but usually he says that it's really only safe to do it when you have a group of people, because it can be unsafe if you don't know what you're doing and you're doing it like a lot. I don't know why. Okay, I haven't gotten all that into it with him, but what she's talking about technically in a way is true.
Of words.
I mean, it is true, but people don't understand that part. And see, I got through that because I wanted to do things. I had gotten affirmations, guided meditations, packages, and different things. All these different things I bought, I went through and I did. Starting out back when I had my first job, that was when I remember I used to go and I'd have, if there was 24 and under dogs, then I'd have it all by myself. And I was in charge of all those dogs. And I had to, be out there or be inside with them. We'd go from inside to outside, and we had an area inside and an area outside. We'd crate them up for lunch. And so while I was out there and, keeping watch over all of them, socializing and stuff, I would sometimes take just my laptop or my phone. I think I'd taken my laptop a few times because that's where I could get access to the whole library. And I was sitting there listening to that during the day while working. So then at night, I had it just about memorized. And then I'd go at nighttime and I'd do that level. And I remember doing all that stuff. And you really don't need that stuff. I'll tell you, a book you can get from Amazon.com. I'll pull it up right now. I would get the paperback version. There may be a Kindle version. Like I said, I mean, you can get whichever you want if they have a Kindle version of it. But this is the book that you really want. And let me see if I can find it. Just was reading it recently. Yeah, here it is. It's called The Silva Mind Control Method by Jose Silva, Philip Millay. It's published by Psychology Today Book Club. And this book basically goes over using your mind in special ways, how to meditate, and then the mind control method, which is basically the main part of the book, which is since the Silva Mind Control Method was first published, 1 million people have graduated from training to use their minds at a deeper and more effective level, even in their sleep. Based on the extraordinary 4-day course pioneered by Jose Silva, this life transformation book shows people have learned to overcome tension, bad habits, emotional insecurity, and even illness with the techniques of mind control, and how with creative visualization they have mastered the ability to see what they desire and then make it happen. This is the complete text of the Silva Mind Control Method, perhaps the most vital and important book you'll ever read. So if you go on here and you type in Silva Mind Control, what the fuck? I thought I got it from Amazon. Pretty sure I did. This is it. This is I mean, I guess they've come out with a new. Yeah, it looks like they've got a new cover and stuff. So I'll show you both. This is the version I own. I got the original, which I mean, I'd recommend getting the original. I'd imagine it's the same thing, but it may be updated a little bit or have different text on the new one. I don't know. So yeah, you can get this. Yeah, this is basically the same book. But if you go to Google, I had to go to Google because I had issue finding it on just searching it out. So it may be a private seller through Amazon or something. But yeah, this is the regular one. You can get it on Kindle, and it's $11.75. So I mean, it's whichever one you want to get. But if you're interested in that type of thing.
And words matter. And you've heard people say, well, you know, everything is spelling. I forget that phrase. But anyways, so whatever we tell ourselves, our subconscious mind will take it and it'll run with it. If you tell yourself every day, I'm successful.
Now that's a little bit, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing affirmations or anything, so I'm not shitting on it, but somebody like me and other people will hear this and they'll think, oh, that's as easy it is. So you just need to practice and repetition and do it. There's nothing wrong with that, like I said, but that's not really going to change. Because see, from the time you're 1 to the time you're 9, the first things that happen the first 9 years of your life lay the foundation for a lot of the basic components and issues that you deal with spiritually and through your subconscious. And if you want to make changes to those, you've got to get to that theta state of mind, which you're not going to get through regular waking consciousness.
You know, I'm this and I'm that, and it will lay out the work to train your brain to go towards those things to achieve your goal, pretty much. So if you say I'm a piece of crap and I'll never make anything of myself, your subconscious mind is going to be like, okay, let's run with that. And it will take you towards things that will definitely make that happen. If you say I'm talented, I'm a fantastic writer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be this. Your brain will take you and it will charge towards your path, achieving what you are telling it to. So you'll find that's why a lot of people are like, well, this is so, synchronicities. And wow, I was just sitting here thinking I wanted to this or I wanted that. And then lo and behold, in a couple of days, it comes right into your path. It's like it's the power of suggestion. It is like the law of attraction. All of that is the same thing. With that being said, I also want to point out.
Let me add something there too. All right, she brings up law of attraction. Also, another widely misunderstood and not deep dive topic. Now, I've got the binder that deals with this, so I do know what I'm talking about. The law of attraction is not and does not mean what a lot of people thinks it means. Law of attraction is a sub-law to the law, one of the main laws, which is the law of the reason for being. The law of attraction is not the most powerful sub-law to the law of the reason for being. And what it basically says is reason for being says everything in the universe has a reason or purpose for being there. And the law of attraction law says that you will attract according to whatever your reason for being is. Every person, everything, every situation, every mental thing that happens needed to accomplish your reason for being. So you can't change your reason for being. Now, with the mental aspect to that, if she's specifically just talking about it, then yeah, there's still positive things to do, but there's still going to be certain things that until you understand what your reason for being and stuff like that is, or dive into your birthday and things like that, you're not gonna, you may have a desire for experiences that aren't in your path, your reason for being. And you can think about a Corvette every day and say that you're going to have one and get one. But if you don't do the work and get the money and get the credit lined up for it or what have you, or find a used one to be able to acquire and do the work and stuff, you're not just going to, like, a lot of people think that this means that they can just change their, which you can change your self-esteem. You can help your mind. It's good therapy, self-therapy. There's nothing wrong with it. But maybe I'm just speaking cautionary because of what I had, because and I'm not the only one that talks about this. There's tons of YouTube videos and stuff about it. Because people like Abraham Hicks and stuff, they didn't, and the people that wrote The Secret and shit. Look, I'm not saying not all of them had good intentions or whatever, but some of them straight up knew that they weren't telling the whole story. And so it gave a lot of people some false hope that if you just do this or that, you can completely change your life revolutionary. And I just want to warn people that's not the case.
On this, our subconscious mind doesn't know anybody but us. That's it. You are like their master. They serve you and they will do whatever you ask them to do. That is what our subconscious mind does. So this is the trick though. If we say something mean or nasty about somebody else, your subconscious mind takes that and makes it a part of your outer world, your outer reality. So when we say bad things about somebody else, we're actually screwing ourselves over, because the subconscious mind is the governing, sorry, my camera, takes that and it makes it our world on the outside. So does that make sense? It's kind of like, sometimes I don't explain things very well, but That's literally what it does. So if I can sit here,
I don't think that when you're talking about like your subconscious mind and relating to yourself, that's one thing, but subconscious mind also controls your breathing and all that other stuff, and deals and is connected to your mind, your other mind, your awareness, which is connected to your is a conduit to your brain. So I don't see how it wouldn't. I don't know about all that, but I think it can definitely differentiate between other people. I mean, that's kind of like that philosophy of if you criticize others, you're really criticizing yourself, which I don't think is 100. That can't be 100% true, because if you're seeing somebody that obviously can't ride a bike like you can ride a bike, and you criticize them, then you're not criticizing yourself if you can factually ride better. So I think that's a little bit.
like I was an ass today on YouTube in the chat. Martin Speak was talking mad shit about me.
Oh
and
boy.
So, you know, my little trolling gears got to going. I was like, okay, well, and said mean things. Well, you know, I had to apologize for that. Those things weren't nice to say. But by me saying nasty, nasty things about
And
him,
that dude's always going around with
my
a Bible,
brain will
according to the
drag me
anonymous
towards
dude.
or lead me towards more negativity. That's why it's so important to
I don't
surround
watch him no
ourselves with
more, though.
positive people, positive
Anonymous.
remarks, and positive outcomes will come into our life if we do that. That's just how it works. There's really nothing we can do about it. You either can choose to be positive or negative, and your subconscious mind will take you down that path, no matter what. No matter what. If you are on YouTube talking mad shit about everybody, well, guess what? It's going to start to catch up with you. Some people call it karma. It's not karma. It's our subconscious minds, and we are responsible.
No,
But anyways,
there's
I just want to say
karma's
that.
one of the
Hope that makes
laws
sense to some
too.
people. I hope everybody has a blessed night. And
I
again,
mean, it
I'm
helps.
sorry
There's
for
nothing
being
wrong
a
with
bitch in
putting it
your
out like
chat.
that. I just don't think you're really explaining it completely correct. And that's from somebody that I've learned from that's, you know, got a PhD in this shit. You know, like they have a fucking business that's their main way of making income is by helping people understand this shit and doing spiritual rebirths, which is what I was talking about with the thing, was having a bunch of people and being able to take you to that state of consciousness where you can get rid of, you know, challenges and things that maybe are setting you back that are in your subconscious mind, like she's talking about. That needs to soak a little bit more. Man, these things are not fucking. That's the drawback to this shit. These things are not easy to fucking clean. What I'm talking about is these fucking little vaporizers, little electric dab straws. Like, but there is something that's better about it than using a fucking torch and all that fucking stupid shit. Okay, so a little bit more. So I don't know what's going on, or what we're actually going to be doing tonight. If we're, no, I'm not. I gotta be honest, I haven't felt that great. I'm almost a little taken back by trying to do anything tonight. Starting to fucking lose my damn voice almost. I'm sorry, I can't look at chat right now. That's a gonna take y'all through voice wise on how to make, or what I'm about to make, which we're gonna use these mangoes because they're gonna be going bad soon if I don't. Oh shit, there goes mangoes. All right. Now you could use this water, but I've got a shot of liquid vitamins and raspberry fruit juice that I open up and use to put in with it. I do have a little apple juice that I put that in to mix with the water to not to add a crap ton of sweetener. Usually I'd rather use pineapple juice, but that's what I got, so I'm gonna finish using it. And I fill it up to the line. It's just gonna be straight mango. So far, I don't think about putting anything in it. I'm gonna look at that consistency and see if I'm gonna put any more liquid in it or not. What I do is I check it. No, it's pretty good. So actually might be a little thin for my regular taste, but all right. It's gonna get in there one way or another. It's not bad, no. And I get rid of that fruit. Move on to the next. Which next one I'll probably make a like tomorrow morning. I'll make a strawberry and banana smoothie, maybe with perhaps some either blueberries, raspberries, or blackberries. I don't know. I got a bunch of fruit I gotta use. So let's see. Oh, about dropped that out of my hand. That's fucking weird. Ominous looking dude. Oh shit. Damn, I should have fucking.
Hey guys, I just wanted to pop back on here for just a second. Sorry that there's noise in the background. I have my little fan.
I was about to say, what's this about? Hey, buddy. What? What's that?
To meet with me, Lindsay Shiver.
Yeah.
We're getting a closer look now at the life of Lindsay Shiver, the woman accused of conspiring to kill her husband with the help of her boyfriend.
Oh,
Newly released
hell
body camera
no.
video
Not
shows an
again.
interaction between
Come on, Brent.
Shiver, first responders, and her mother-in-law, months ahead of her alleged crime.
Yeah. She's
Y'all
left.
don't know her. You don't know her like
No, I don't.
The video stems from an incident on April 30th
Good boy.
in Thomasville,
Red
Georgia.
light.
36-year-old Shiver, a former beauty queen
Green
and
light.
Auburn University cheerleader, is seen on camera approaching first responders. She explains she's in a custody disagreement about her children.
152. Although you can zero, she advised the female may have a 1032 vehicle. She doesn't know.
Simple.
Coming to meet with me, Lindsay Shiver.
Yeah.
Okay. My in-laws are in the parking lot right there
Uh-huh.
in the white Lexus.
Yeah.
I've tried to call them. This is my attorney on the phone,
Uh-huh.
and have not been able to get a hold of them. But that's what I was calling for, was for y'all to come meet with me, because I'm going to meet up with my husband right now.
Shiver's husband is Robert Shiver, a former Auburn football player. She's now accused of conspiring to kill him with the help of her boyfriend, 28-year-old Terrence Bethel, and 28-year-old Farron Newbold Jr. They were arrested last month in the Bahamas when police found WhatsApp messages that laid out the murder plot. But months earlier, as Shiver was in the process of a divorce, body camera video caught her amidst a custody dispute.
So what are y'all trying to do? Custody?
46 Thomas. I'm relocating to a compliance location at BP West.
In the divorce. He just had my kids with my family all weekend, and I respected that. I didn't go up there with my family. On the way back this morning, they were in Wiggum 20, 30 minutes ago.
23
They were headed
Thomas.
home, and then I get the message that he's dropping them with his parents, who have no rights.
Okay.
So as a witness for me, that's why I called y'all to meet me at his parents' house.
You call?
I called. I was the
Okay.
first one to call.
I don't. I asked who my complainant was, and they said
How do you know that?
the white Lexus. And
No,
then
I called first
okay.
this morning, and then I've been on the phone with the attorney and trying to dial them to ask them where the kids were and where they were meeting them, so that I could call y'all to let
So
you know.
did you witness them
The
call?
responding
And you
Thomas
know you
County
called
Sheriff's
before
deputy
them? Because that's the
explains
only
that
way.
Shiver's mother-in-law called law enforcement, reporting she'd been following her around and making threatening remarks.
So they called and said that you were following them and harassing them, and that's why.
That's not the
So
truth. I was just trying to see where
I mean, how else would you know that you called the police before they did then?
they were going to meet my kids, if I needed to call you to tell you it was the gas station or the house.
Because I didn't, I was in a situation once and I called and I didn't find out till the other person let it out to be known that, because the police told them, like, I made the first call. Like, they were mad because they didn't make the first call. Like, I mean, people try to do that because they know that the first they think just because they call first, that's not what it's about. If something goes on and you call 911. You don't worry about trying to call before somebody or after somebody, whatever. You just call when you can, and that's what 8 out of 10 people do. But 2 out of 10 think, if I can finagle it around some type of way and make sure to, assert that, well, I called first, then, I won't get in any trouble.
Instead, Shiver said it was she who called dispatch after a recommendation from her attorney.
okay, who'd you speak to this
Well, I
morning?
have complaint of subject trespassing in the area of 107th
called
Drive,
at 12:38.
107th Drive,
Okay.
across of Keelan
How many
Drive,
times did you try to call
by
them?
subject fishing in
Just
the pond
once.
without
I
permission.
called this morning as
They
a
were-
safety net for me, and my attorney has sent his attorney a note saying that they did not need to go to the in-laws' house. I promise this is all well before y'all were called by them.
What time did you call dispatch?
Let's see.
Because that-
This morning now at 12:38.
Well, if they called at 12:37, then they
So-
technically called before you.
That was probably that might have been the original call then. I don't know. There's no crime here, so we're not,
But where are my kids?
I don't know. They got to be with your husband. If,
Which is what, just frolicking around and can until he drops them with them?
Basically, it's a court matter, ma'am.
Shiver says she believes her husband has their kids, but he's not answering her calls.
so you think your
Husband has them,
husband still has them, but he won't
Won't
answer.
be around.
but he won't answer.
Okay. When was he
She knows he has them.
supposed to bring the kids back to you? This morning.
Oh, yeah. No one's answering the phone.
He might have changed his mind.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If this was the exact opposite fucking situation, they'd be telling dude the same fucking thing. He's gonna have to get a lawyer. Seen it. She wants them kids in her possession so she can fucking keep them and fight and not have to be the one that doesn't have full custody or whatever, if that's the way they're gonna go, and pay child support. Now, not every couple has to do that. There are some people that, agree that they don't need anybody to be under that order because they're going to do it and work it out themselves. But that rarely happens. I mean, it happens, but it's not common.
Where's your husband been staying?
Oh, at my house.
Okay.
It's a lovely situation.
So he just isn't home. He hasn't come home yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, that's a bad situation, especially with her. Dude's
My
fucking
son,
life
who I
is
thought
in
earlier,
danger,
I
literally.
talked to, and he told me they were in Wiggum. But now I'm sure Robert's got him not answering the phone.
The sheriff's deputy explained Shiver's in-laws also reached out to law enforcement, saying they feared for their safety.
The whole reason we're here is they said that you were following them, and they said you were harassing them. And, let me read it. I'm pretty sure they said threatening them, but if you ain't talked to them, then
I didn't talk to him at all.
But he said, she said,
or
once
maybe
they got
felt threatened,
video.
I don't know.
The first responder also makes note of a gun, which Shiver denies having.
They were saying that you were following them, obviously, and that you got a gun, which isn't illegal. It doesn't
No, I don't,
It
though.
doesn't matter, though.
But I don't.
And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh
so
God.
your
You're welcome to
mother-in-law,
search my car.
something is, she's freaking out apparently,
She's
but
hypomanic.
but
It's a mental issue. All
Yeah.
three of the people in there have a mental issue. Diagnosed.
yeah.
Well, it's always great to hear from somebody that's not acting as a doctor in an official capacity, talking about people that got mental issues. Whether they're privy to knowing that they may have anxiety, whatever or not, that's got nothing to do with her in this situation. Because I bet you she did say some shit to her off-putting.
They don't need my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saying the same thing.
You think that they don't need your kids, but obviously the person that had possession of them did think they could have them. And it's ultimately his fucking decision at this point because he had possession of them last. You can't just fucking take them, from your. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't know if that's gonna fly.
484 Passenger Georgia Tech Tango gives Tango Golf Mike 5139 TGM 5139 white color Hyundai SUV.
It's not a good look for your kids
All
either
I'm
to
saying is that's the call we got.
be into it with their grandparents.
That they don't have a right to.
Yeah.
Can I try to call my husband with you right here?
Later, when speaking with first responders, Shiver's mother-in-law asks
He
about
can't
this
tell him
alleged
to do
weapon.
something.
Well, I didn't search her car or nothing, but I asked her about it. She said she did.
Officials explained Shiver has not broken the law, suggesting her in-laws should head home. That's when her mother-in-law claims she's a nervous wreck.
You guys can go about your business, okay? If she's following you or you feel like she's threatening you in any way, from moving forward, you can call 911 again. But with what we have right now, I'm afraid there's nothing we can do, okay? This whole thing's been documented and recorded, so you don't worry about that. Okay. We just don't have nothing. We're not doctors.
I'll tell you something the woman can do, and she may be already thinking about it. She could just get a restraining order on that woman, subpoena this body camera to the court, and how, and her version of events, what she felt like, you know, and how they didn't think they were doing anything wrong because they haven't went through no divorce or anything yet. And, you know, and they wanted to see their grandchildren, what have you. I'm pretty sure the judge would grant to her. Then she has no fucking, I mean, then she couldn't go around them or else she'd go to jail, you know. And so that would ensure that they'll have uninterrupted time with their grandchildren if their father wants to allow that. You know, he's got custody currently, custodial custody of the kids.
There she is, right there.
That's not her.
Is that somebody else?
No, that's somebody else.
I mean, just the fact that she's paranoid thinking that's her, I mean, come on, cop.
Shiver's mother-in-law then describes a threatening text Shiver allegedly sent to her own mother.
Even a provision for fish out here. Or they're not
It was
that
a Robin, my name, or Robert, neither one. I'm threatening both of them.
Then she voices concern about going home, making an ominous comment about Shiver's toxic home environment.
They do not want to go home.
Yeah. She's
Y'all
left.
don't know her. You don't know her like we
No,
know her.
I don't know.
So it's not a good environment. It's a toxic environment, and it's.
Well, I mean, considering not just you, but her own mom saying the same thing, I'd be inclined to believe her.
She also references Shiver's mental state, making
Oh, her
comments
mother
about
said the same
suicide.
thing.
Lindsay was not answering their phone calls all day today, so they thought she killed herself, to be honest, and had taken an overdose or something.
3 months after this body camera video was reported, Shiver and her 2 co-conspirators were arrested in the Bahamas. She's since been released on $100,000 bail. Her bail
Hell to
conditions
the damn, $100,000 bail. So she had to, if she had to put 10% down, that means she had to come up with at least $10,000.
include multiple things: an evening curfew, and order to remain at least 100 feet away
Well,
from
that's
her
good.
husband. She's due back in court on October 5th. Reporting for Law and Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Did he go up the fast lane? Yeah, he's walking to the section right now. Okay.
See if I can have somebody on the cover for me so I can talk to you guys.
Sure. Do you know where this guy's at?
He should be upstairs.
Okay.
He's got a beard on tattoos. He's wearing greenish blue.
All right, I'm gonna go up to the exit. You guys stay here.
First description I got the dead I was told it was got 21 is in the train on the left right now.
Okay.
We think, unless you have a different description.
Guy with lots of arm tattoos and beard.
Arm tattoos and beard.
Excuse me, sir. Officer O'Connell, Sandusky Police. Can you step over here, please? I have one with me right now. Just advise if it's not the right one. So are you involved in an altercation downstairs? Yeah. So no kind of fight, anything like that going on? Okay. I can see it. So do you know why I'm speaking with you at all? Did you have any kind of disagreement with somebody? Any kind of confrontation? Okay. Do you have an ID on you?
Oh my God. Really? I'm sorry, I'm just now looking at the fucking title of this damn body cam video. What the fuck, man? I'm telling y'all, this shit has happened 3 days ago. This shit is fucking happening way too fucking much more and more, dude. I just fucking watched a video or showed one here not too long ago of a couple, fucking nasty looking couple, to be honest with you, fucking having sex out in the damn beach area. No, this other couple exposed themselves on a fucking amusement park ride.
You said you were not involved in any kind of altercation downstairs? No? Okay. Okay. Okay.
She's not gonna say yes.
Crazy man, whatever happened down there, I mean, I wasn't there to see it, but yeah, listen, whatever happened down there, I wasn't there to see it, but they don't want to but if Richland County doesn't want you, you're gonna have to speak to these gentlemen for security. They might have to get you to work for the day. Okay. So we're waiting to hear back on O'Connor. Are you going to 27 him if we're not taking it? Okay, all right. I don't know. I'll call. Yeah. I have mine on Sandusky, so. Got it.
No orange salad.
All right, so go ahead and place your hands behind your back for me, okay? He's in custody. Are they going to come get him, or do they want to relay?
Bring him to the jail. They'll come pick him up.
Clear.
Our dispatchers?
Yeah. I'm just gonna double lock these so they don't tighten up on you.
What do I say? Help you out of that.
You're not getting charged with anything here. This is just for your warrant.
So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has reportedly taken the first step toward easing federal restrictions on marijuana. Cannabis is currently legal in some form in nearly 40 states now, but federally it's still illegal and classified as a Schedule I drug, the group that includes heroin and meth. Now, last year, President Biden directed HHS to review how that drug is actually classified. The president did this when he pardoned thousands of Americans who had been convicted on federal charges of marijuana possession. Proponents of reclassification have asked it be a Schedule III, a group that includes drugs like Tylenol and codeine. For more, White House correspondent Selena Wang joining us once again. And our
No, it shouldn't be no. Dude, Tylenol with codeine is still fucking. Come on now. That it is not on the same level as Tylenol and codeine. Oh no. I don't think it should be scheduled at all. If it's to be scheduled, put it as a Schedule 4, put it on the same level as benzos. But But you could have an argument against that, which is why I said not scheduled in the first place, because benzos will fucking make you have a seizure if you come off them bitches cold turkey. Marijuana, most you're gonna have a headache.
Contributor and history
You're gonna be
professor, John
grouchy.
Hopkins
You're gonna be like more on edge.
University. Leo Wright Rigueur joined me now. So Selena, just walk us through this recommendation from HHS and why it's getting mixed reviews.
Well, Kira, if this actually goes through, it would be huge because, as you say, this would mean that it would lower the risk category that it's in. Currently, marijuana is categorized in the same way that heroin and LSD are, with no accepted medical use. The HHS is recommending that it be lowered to the category that ketamine and testosterone are in. Now, if the DEA accepts this recommendation, however, it does not outright legalize marijuana at the federal level. However, it would pave the way for it to become so, and it would also lead to some significant changes. For instance, this would likely lower the tax burden for marijuana businesses. It would make it easier for cannabis companies to get financial services. It could also make it easier for researchers to do studies on the health effects of marijuana. This also comes as marijuana legalization has been getting more broad bipartisan support. More than 20 states have legalized recreational use, and 38 states have legalized it for medical use. However, marijuana advocates say that the state law has been far ahead of the federal law, and the federal law has been lagging significantly behind in that while this is a step in the right direction, it does not do enough. Kira.
So Leah, what stands out to you about a possible reclassification here?
Well, it'd be huge. Reclassification, you can't understate the idea of reclassification from going to like treating marijuana as if it is equivalent to heroin or LSD or even meth is something that's to something that is essentially effectively Tylenol or even ketamine makes a huge difference. The stigma around marijuana and cannabis use will also change because the federal government has finally weighed in. One of the things we also know is that it may provide a pathway not only to legalizing cannabis or marijuana, but also to decriminalizing marijuana and cannabis use. And that's the part that I think is most important because that's the part where marijuana has been so devastating to so many Americans. Over 1 million Americans have been incarcerated under simple possession uses since the war on drugs has happened. And so if the federal government can finally catch up with the rest of the United States, it would have a massive impact on the number of people both who have served time for marijuana possession and or are still incarcerated because of marijuana possession.
So Selena, how does this fit into Biden's broader goals?
Well, Biden did campaign on decriminalizing marijuana. Last October, he had announced that he was granting pardons to all people convicted of simple marijuana possession under the federal law. But again, as we've been saying here, reclassifying the drug does not decriminalize it entirely. The drug would still be illegal under federal law. So the expectation, though, is that if this does get reclassified,
They need to put it in the same category as fucking alcohol. They make it 21 to use already. That's basically the same as alcohol. It's not as dangerous as alcohol. Alcohol, I don't believe, is scheduled. It should be in the same category as alcohol. It's not right that veterans and people are having, which, here's the thing, and in no way am I fucking advising any legal information or giving legal advice, nor encouraging anyone to break federal law, because I certainly wouldn't. But hold on a second. Gun ban for marijuana consumers is unconstitutional. Federal appeals, but here's the DOJ and what they say about it. So it's not cut and dry. they incorrectly decided that the gun ban is unconstitutional. They didn't incorrectly decide. They're asking the appeals court to relook at it. The Justice Department don't like the ruling. That's the Supreme Court, though. If they say that if that's the case, then that's the case, and the fucking legislators need to act in accordance with it. Federal government notified judges of U.S. Court of Appeals 11th Circuit that the separate U.S. Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit, because there was another case back in February of Harrison. Anyways, here it is. AP. Here we go. There was a Reuters article. I was trying to find the Reuters article, but AP, that's fucking good enough. I don't want anyone saying that I'm fucking spouting fake news, because this is a real case. I just seen this. But then again, still yet, I'm not advising anybody to fucking do what they're basically alleging, which is that would be removed for people that are in that that are finding themselves in that category. So keep that in mind. Oklahoma City, a federal judge in Oklahoma has ruled that a federal law prohibiting people who use marijuana to have their Second Amendment latest challenge to the regulations after the Supreme Court's conservative majority set new standards for reviewing the nation's gun laws. Lawyers for Jared Michael Harrison argued that their client's Second Amendment right was being violated by a federal law that makes it illegal for unlawful users. Harrison was charged after being arrested in Oklahoma following a traffic stop. They found a loaded revolver and marijuana. Harrison told the police he'd been on his way to work at a medical marijuana dispensary, but that he did not have a state-issued medical marijuana card. So he was, I guess, under rec. I don't even know if Oklahoma has rec. His lawyers had argued the portion of the federal firearms focused on drug user addicts was not consistent with the nation's historical traditions of firearms regulations, echoing the Supreme Court case last year, which was the NRA case of Bruin, which more on that, check out U.S. versus Bruin, or Supreme Court case Bruin decision. That case set the standards for how they interpret in relation to the Second Amendment. Federal prosecutors argued that the portion of the law focused on drug users is consistent with a long-standing historical tradition, but it's not, of presumptively risky persons, namely felons, the mentally ill and intoxicated. U.S. District Judge Patrick Wyrick in Oklahoma City agreed with Harrison's lawyers, ruling on Friday that federal prosecutors' arguments that Harrison's status as a user justifies stripping him of his fundamental rights to possess a firearm. It is not constitutionally permissible means of disarming Harrison. But the mere use of marijuana carries none of the characteristics that the nation's history and tradition of firearms regulation supports, said Wyrick, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump. Wyrick highlighted that under Oklahoma law, marijuana can be bought legally at more than 2,000 storefronts in the state. Attorneys for Harrison, as well as U.S. Attorney's Office for District of Oklahoma, which is prosecuting the case, did not return emails seeking comment Sunday. The ruling came days after a three-judge panel on the Fifth Circuit of Appeals in New Orleans ruled that the government can't stop people who have domestic violence restraining orders against them from owning guns. I didn't even know about that one. The panel referenced the Bruin decision in its ruling. 2 of the 3 judges on the panel are Trump appointees. In September, a federal judge in Midland, Texas, ruled that a firearm law that bans those under felony indictment from buying guns is unconstitutional. In that case, U.S. District Judge David Counts, also a Trump appointee, echoed the Supreme Court's language in the ruling, saying there was little evidence related to being under indictment aligns with this national historical tradition. Which, I mean, I don't know about being under indictment, but if a court orders you that you can't have, then then you have to go through the court. I want to see what this says. DOJ contested the decision in the case, which also is relevant to a lawsuit that the 11th Circuit is considering. That suit, originally filed by former Florida Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fred, concerns the rights of state-registered medical cannabis patients to own guns, but the basic structure of the case is the same. With oral arguments scheduled for the next month in the Florida case, the Justice Department said the separate ruling last week departs from the numerous circuit and district court decisions upholding 922G3 constitutionality. In deviating from those precedents, Daniels relied on the Fifth Circuit's prior decision in United States versus Brahimi, a case in which the Supreme Court recently granted the government's petition for a writ of certiorari. It said certiorari. I may be pronouncing that wrong. Referencing a case where the court maintained that laws prohibiting people convicted of domestic violence are unconstitutional. For the reasons given in the government's brief in this case, Daniels incorrectly decided that 920G3 accords with the Second Amendment, and the Justice Department said an attorney representing Florida medical cannabis patients in the case told Marijuana at the Moment on Friday that we have reviewed the Fifth Circuit decision and be prepared to address it at an oral argument. The federal firearms bans for cannabis consumers have been challenged in a number of courts, while the Fifth Circuit, as well as powerful courts, declared the prohibition unconstitutional. 2 federal district courts have similarly reached that conclusion as well. So that's 3 federal or Supreme Courts. The core argument at play is based on U.S. Supreme Court ruling last year that says any firearm restriction must be consistent with the historical context. That's again going back to Bruin. In its decision last week, the Fifth Circuit said that the government failed to effectively argue that the ban has a meaningful history analog dismissing its position in the late 18th and early 19th century on mentally ill, dangerous, actively intoxicated individuals meets the high standards. For now, the Fifth Circuit decision renders the ban unlawful in the states of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. Aha! So keep that in mind. The 11th Circuit, meanwhile, has jurisdiction over Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. If the latter court ultimately upholds the constitutionality of the ban, that would set the states or Supreme Court to intervene. For what it's worth, attorneys President Joe Biden's son Hunter, who was charged with buying a gun in 2018, the time when he disclosed that he was an active user of crack cocaine, have previously cited the ruling from U.S. District Court Western District deemed the firearm ban unconstitutional, arguing that it appeals to their client's case as well. The Justice Department is appealing the district court's decision. In that federal case, Judge Patrick Wyrick dismissed an indictment against a man who was charged under the statute in 2022 after police discovered cannabis and a handgun in his vehicle during a traffic stop. Also, in Texas, a judge ruled the laws prohibiting the sale and transfer of guns is also unconstitutional. So that is not all the other states, keep in mind. And just because it's issued in that doesn't mean you still couldn't, so everyone needs to keep that in mind about that stuff. So you've got to effectively choose. And if you do choose to stop, make sure that you have to wait for a year after the stopping of a controlled substance. That's basically the rule, especially related to marijuana. Meanwhile, a law that went into effect in Arkansas this month clarifies medical marijuana patients can obtain CCWs. Well, that basically in Arkansas, then they're allowing, that's crazy. I didn't hear about that either. Of course, they don't put this type of stuff on the news. They don't want people knowing about it. The regular news that most of us are used to getting news from. So that's interesting. But like I said, I'd keep in mind of all that stuff. Let it play out. Nothing's set in stone until it's played out and ruled ultimately after all the appeals and everything. So if you're in one of them states, I would still fucking tread cautiously in relation to all that stuff.
If it successfully goes through with the DEA, that it would at least lessen the punishment and could eliminate criminal penalties under the federal law. But again, many advocates say they need this to go a step further, and they think that marijuana should be removed from the Controlled Substances Act entirely.
That's exactly what should happen.
And I guess final thoughts, Leah, just from a civil rights perspective, just the benefits from a possible reclassification of the drug. You touched on it a little bit, but maybe we could dive in just a little deeper before we go.
Sure. So I think that there are two major benefits. One is because the states have largely, all but 4 states have essentially decriminalized marijuana and cannabis. We've seen a booming industry.
Man, all but 4 states. Man, the sorry people that live in 4 states, man.
In those fields, and people have been making a lot of money, but the majority of the owners of those businesses are white. And the problem is the people who are disproportionately punished for marijuana and cannabis possession have been Black and brown people. So part of what this larger kind of pathway towards decriminalization does is actually broaden the financial benefits of marijuana, but also open a pathway for people who are incarcerated under it and who have not been able to tap into that market to be able to tap into this. A big part of marijuana decriminalization, the process of the federal government.
Well, no. I mean, most people can't tap into the market or get into it because you have to have a shit ton. I mean, like, I know a video I had watched that this guy was talking about from what they had been experiencing and going through, essentially said that, they've not been really making much money other than their basic operating cost and just enough to like keep everything going. Like they're not and that's the case for some of the areas, especially the more newer states and stuff, even like our state, the prices have went down maybe 10, just barely, if a full 10%, like they haven't went down a whole lot still yet. But compared to when it was just medical, they went down a shit ton.
Is also restorative equity and justice for people who have been wronged. And this is a first step. It's an important first step because the federal government has been so slow to follow up with the rest of the country. But not only that, because the federal government has been so instrumental in actually locking people up for simple possession of marijuana. This is effectively the government saying, we acknowledge that we are wrong and we are ready to take those first steps to move forward.
Leah, Selena, thank you both, ladies.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, let's just hope it doesn't fucking take another damn decade. Hopefully this shit gets fucking straightened out pretty sooner than later.
His daughter owned was thrown in a dumpster after the management of his apartment building accidentally ordered maintenance to clean out his rental.
It turns out apartment management had the wrong unit number, and now that man says that he is out tens of thousands of dollars.
Building management argues he never should have been living there to begin with. Consumer reporter Steve Noviello is on your side tonight.
Used to have a couch here, a TV stand with the TV.
After Johnny Abbey spent years building a life.
This was my daughter's snack drawer.
For himself and his 9-year-old daughter.
It was a closet full of clothes.
This is all that's left of their stuff.
Everything gone.
Everything they own.
Clothing items, all my groceries. They cleared out my whole refrigerator full of groceries.
Is gone.
Well, we had a shower curtain here.
Not stolen, thrown in the dumpster by order of the management at the Hamilton, the high and mid-rise apartment building where Johnny and his daughter lived in the Deep Ellum neighborhood of Dallas.
They came to my door and cleaned everything out, from my daughter's clothes to my clothes to everything, from a toothbrush.
Why?
Bathing items. Like, they pretty much left me with nothing.
It's all in this police report Johnny filed when he returned home from work in late July to find his apartment door unlocked and the contents cleared out. According to the report's narrative, a leasing agent on site said there was a misunderstanding and maintenance accidentally cleared out Abney's unit instead of the unit next door where a tenant was being evicted.
Well, they need to fucking take care of it.
Belongings had been thrown in the dumpster hours earlier and had been picked over by the other residents. This is video Johnny took of his discarded stuff. He says his mattress had been urinated on.
Not only did
Damn.
they put my stuff out, they watch people take all my property all day.
Property management offered to get what they could from the trash and return it to Johnny's unit. Johnny said they even had that stained mattress professionally cleaned, but most of his and his daughter's stuff was gone for good.
This door is completely gone, and this one, they
No,
just
fuck
completely
that.
just broke it.
Much
Fuck
of what did
that.
make it
No. I wouldn't have fucking taken a single item back from out of there. I mean, I understand. Well, I take that back. If it's something sentimental or something, I can understand. And especially trying to restore it or whatever. But the mattress, no, he shouldn't have taken that back. He should fucking get an attorney and sue their ass to fucking replace the value of all that shit.
back from the dumpster he showed us was damaged.
They told me that it was a mistake. They apologized the first night. They were
a mistake. They can apologize in court with a check.
Overly apologetic, like let us know anything missing.
But that quickly took a turn.
Even though it was your stuff, it's her apartment. It's under her name. The contract is in her name and her name solely.
That doesn't mean shit. Then it's her stuff. If the apartment's in her name and the stuff is there and possession's 9/10 of the law, which everybody loves to fucking reiterate, then it's her stuff. And I'm sure she wouldn't be cool with the fact of if it's whether it's hers really or not or his. It really don't matter. The fact is, y'all already admitted that you went to the wrong apartment and you threw out fucking goods that had no reason of being thrown out. I mean, who else would be cool with that? Like, oh yeah, just walk up in my place and just take all my shit and just throw it out, you know? Like, I don't fucking need it, obviously. You know, I got money on money, so I'll just buy some more shit. Or y'all replace it, won't you? You know, I mean, is that what I'm getting at? Because I believe that's what I'm hearing. Like, I can't believe that woman even had the audacity to come back with that shit, that bullshit. Like, it's not even in your man. Like, man, talk about being so mad, like you almost think about doing something that you'd regret. Like, you know, like that just, man, I just thought, like, if I was in his shoes, man, that shit would make me so mad. I probably would snap and end up getting arrested for fucking, public disturbance or some bullshit.
This is video Johnny recorded of a conversation he had with one of the leasing agents who was quick to point out the apartment in which he and his daughter lived was leased by his ex-girlfriend who had since moved out of state. Johnny was subletting without permission, and even though these receipts provided to us by an attorney for the Hamilton show that Johnny paid the near $3,000 in rent each month, any direct discussion about making him whole was off the
Well, then they fucking... You gotta be kidding me. So they took his money for the rent. They let him live there. Then when they fuck something up, they pull the, you're not technically our leasee. Sorry. Better luck next time.
table.
We are binded by law. We cannot discuss anything with anybody that is not her.
According to this lawsuit Johnny has now filed against the property management company, they gave him 24 hours to fill out his own rental application or face eviction.
I've already lost property. Now you're trying to kick me off the property at short notice.
Wow.
With no resolve.
Here's the eviction notice. It was posted on his door the next day.
Rent was paid in full. There was no reason to go into his apartment. There was no reason to throw anything away.
Jason Friedman is Johnny's attorney. He says the issue of who was on the lease is irrelevant.
The apartment building, they didn't know when they threw all that stuff away whose stuff it was. whether it was the person on the lease or his.
And adds Johnny chose not to fill out the application or pay the fee required for one very simple reason.
He chose not to because he said, I want to resolve the situation with my property that you threw away before I decide if I'm going to stay in this building.
An attorney for the Hamilton, who would not speak to us on camera but did communicate by phone and email, said on behalf of the building, even if Johnny did fill out the rental application, he would have been denied because he already violated the lease terms as an unauthorized occupant.
With me losing
Man,
all my
fuck
property,
that
like, that's the
bullshit.
last
I
thing.
wouldn't want to fucking, man. You know what all this gonna do? And here's the thing, them motherfuckers ain't gonna care, but fuck that. It ain't about that. All this gonna do is now I'm sure that people will probably reach out or find him, you know, if he put his name out there and has social media, somebody will end up helping him out, get some funding, and he can get this shit taken care of. Like, sue their ass, win, and fucking move out to a better place. Like, that's some bullshit. Like, even it don't matter even if he did fill one out because he's already violated it, so we wouldn't give him a fucking place to stay anyway. Man, fuck your place to stay. That's
To fill
what
out
I'd
the
say.
application or pay the fee required for one very simple reason.
He chose not to because he said, I want to resolve the situation with my property that you threw away before I decide.
That's damaging personal property. I mean, I don't see why they can't be fucking charged.
If I'm going to stay in this
If
building.
they, I mean, if it's a civil matter, then a civil matter. Take them to court.
An attorney for
That's probably what the police will say. But hell, if it was him going in someone's apartment and taking some shit and throwing it away, they lock his ass up.
the Hamilton, who would not speak to us on camera but did communicate by phone and email, said on behalf of the building, even if Johnny did fill out the rental application, he would have been denied because he already violated the lease terms as an unauthorized occupant.
With me losing all my property, like, that's the last thing on my mind.
According to the lawsuit, the Hamilton also alleged there was counterfeit money pulled from Johnny's things. Another reason they say he would not be welcome to stay. We asked them to provide a police report, photos, or video.
Bro, this is fucked up, man. Now they trying to almost get the feds to fucking look at his ass, saying that he's counterfeiting. I don't remember seeing any pictures or video of a money machine or fake money, special printer or any of that shit.
Any evidence at all. They provided none.
They left me without underwear, toothpaste, everything.
Back at Johnny's, among the discarded pile of trashed school supplies with which his daughter was supposed to start the 5th grade, we found our own. This play money, clearly marked as copy, right next to what's left of his daughter's bed.
We sent a list of questions to the Hamilton via their attorney. They all went unanswered.
Okay, so he's got fake money. I mean, people can have fake money if they buy it. I mean, unless he's fucking trying to pass it off, then it
They
means
would not
nothing.
sit down with us for an on-camera interview.
I had a friend in middle school that he was real cool, good with the computers, and he got some fake 50s and 20s and had made them, and he was using them in the snack line, and he's probably using them to like get weed and shit too. And man, he got lucky, like really fucking lucky. I don't think he really even got, I think he pretty much just got like counseled, like warned and like reprimanded, because the school had ended up uncovering it and the police came, I remember. But yeah, that was crazy. He's somebody, I know his mom and dad real well, and I used to hang out with him after school, and he ended up marrying the person he was dating back when we was in middle school and shit. Like, let's see. Uh-oh.
I have no idea how I did because I can't talk to Jim or Dick. But it seemed like a number of jurors were very responsive.
That phone call has landed Alec Murdaugh in some trouble in prison because it was part of an interview for a Fox Nation documentary. We'll tell you the punishment he's received and the job he's been assigned behind bars. Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Alec Murdaugh has been in the custody of the South Carolina
What's he under? A gag order?
Department of Corrections for less than 6 months, and he's already received his first disciplinary infractions, abusive privileges, for granting an interview. Prison officials have also warned his lawyers to never help him do this again or else. Records from the Department of Corrections show inmate number 00390-394 admitted to using another inmate's PIN number to make a phone call on August 9th. The documents say Murdaugh told a warden he was using another inmate's PIN because his wasn't working. Then on August 15th, prison officials say they received a report from the Inspector General who said Murdaugh's attorney, Jim Griffin, admitted in an interview that he recorded Murdaugh reading from a journal that he kept during his trial. Griffin told the Inspector General that he provided that recording to a production company. The call took place in June. Prison officials wrote, inmate Murdaugh willingly and knowingly abused his telephone privileges to communicate with the news media for his own gain. What Murdaugh gained is unclear.
I believe the jury is definitely the only chance I have at a fair trial. I am absolutely exhausted.
But the phone call clearly landed Murdaugh in hot water. In a news release, prison officials said inmates in the custody of the South Carolina Department of Corrections are not allowed to do interviews. SCDC's interview policy is rooted in victims' rights and is longstanding. The department believes that victims of crime should not have to see or hear the person who victimized them or their family member on the news.
What made you decide that you want to speak out?
The Fox Nation documentary, The Fall of the House of Murdaugh, premiered Thursday. It includes trial footage and interviews with Alec Murdaugh's attorneys and the first interview of his son, Buster Murdaugh.
It's an absolutely excruciatingly difficult experience.
Alec Murdaugh spends his time in a special wing of an undisclosed prison in protective custody. And he has a job. He works as a custodian. He's appealing his conviction for the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul. His punishment for abusing his phone privileges? He's losing his canteen and phone privileges for 30 days. These are administrative charges.
Ooh, gonna be stuck on that 3 meals fucking from the cafeteria a day. Ooh, that's gonna be rough.
Not criminal offenses. Prison officials also said tablets are for educational use and are a privilege, and they haven't yet decided whether or not Alec Murdaugh will get his tablet back after the 30 days.
Oh.
I've also learned that Murdaugh's attorneys have visited him in prison, but he has not had any other visitors. Prison officials warned his lawyers if they ever help Murdaugh conduct another interview,
Wonder
they will
why.
not be allowed to visit him at the prison ever again.
Damn.
His son Buster said in that docuseries that he believes his dad is innocent. For Law
What?
and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy.
Buster, how can you say that, bro? Man, now that just makes me skeptical of fucking now Buster. That makes me skeptical as fuck about him now. Like, I there for a while I was thinking that I was thinking that he just, still gonna love his dad and be in contact with him. But you can just tell on some of the phone calls, like, he is not really trying to fucking be on the phone with him that much. As little as possible. I think he deep down knows his dad done it. But I don't know why the fuck he's portraying that he believes he's innocent. It's like, I guess they think if they come from such long-standing dynasty of prosecutors and attorneys, they can somehow finagle the court system and win and get appeal in or some way. I guess that's why. Maybe he's been directed by his dad to act like that. You know, whether or not his dad gives a shit if he believes he done it or not. You know, that may be why. Now that I think about it, because there's no fucking way, dude, that you believe. I mean, your brother took a video. Your dad clearly said he wasn't at the stables. He was at the stables in the video. You heard him. You know your dad's had addiction issues and is used to lying and stuff already because your brother and mother would confront him about it.
I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us here on Closing Arguments. Get ready. This is some hour we've got, and we're going to start this hour. We're going to take you back to the Low Country. We're going to stay in the Low Country for a while here. First thing we need to talk about, Buster Murdaugh. Which Murdaugh was that? I'll take a look. You remember him from the trial. This is the only member of that family who was not murdered by his father, Alec, the surviving son. He was at the courthouse every day. I saw him. I sat one row behind him inside that courtroom. He was there. It was difficult to read him, you know, what he thought about everything that was going on. Take a look, some hugs. It was tough. And you wonder, he lost his brother, he lost his mother, his father's accused of doing it all. At points, he was biting his fingernails. Some people think he was doing something else there. I'm not sure about that, but that was during some touchy testimony against the family. But again, he sat there and was difficult to understand exactly what was going on in his head. But there was a moment during this trial when we did hear from Buster Murdaugh. You may recall, and he got emotional as well. It's not easy. Your mom's dead. Your brother's dead. And now you've got to raise your right hand at your father's double murder trial, the man who destroyed your family, and get up on the stand and testify. Let's take another listen to the testimony of Buster Murdaugh.
When did you first find out that your mom and brother were murdered?
My dad called me. I can't remember the exact time, but it was later. And he called me on the phone. He asked me if I was sitting down, and I was like, yeah. And then he, sounded odd, and then he told me that my mom and brother had been shot.
What'd you do?
Well, Brooklyn, my girlfriend, was with me, and I think she heard she could hear my conversation kind of over the phone. And so she just started packing stuff, and I kind of just sat there for a minute, and I was in shock.
And when you got there, did you see your dad?
Yes, sir.
What kind of condition was he in? What was his demeanor?
Yeah, his demeanor was, he was destroyed. He was heartbroken. I walked in the door and saw him and gave him a hug and just broken down.
Could he speak?
Not really.
Was he crying?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware that your dad had a opioid addiction?
A little bit. I knew a little bit about the usage of pills.
What did you know about it?
I knew that either my brother and mom had found them at some point, and then told them like, hey, we found these. And I want to say the 2018 around Christmas, he went to a detox facility after Christmas, and that was my knowledge of it. Thought that handled it, and then there were a couple more times after the fact where they would kind of go into this finding pills, all that stuff, and then he did a few kind of like at home, just self detoxed a couple times. And, thought, once he did that, get off of them. But that was kind of my general knowledge about it all. We had A lot of guns.
Do you have shotguns?
We did. Shotguns.
You have 12 gauge shotgun?
12 gauge shotguns, 20 gauge shotguns, 16 gauge shotguns, 28 gauge shotguns.
Right. And how many type rifles did you have on the property?
A lot.
Okay, so why are we talking about Buster Murdaugh tonight? Well, Buster Murdaugh sat down with Martha McCallum of Fox News to break his silence for the first time since the trial. Let's watch a bit of that interview right now.
Yep, he sure did.
12 jurors all agreed that your dad killed your mom and Paul.
That's right.
What do you think about that?
I do not believe it was fair.
Why?
I was there for 6 weeks studying it, and I think it was a tilted table from the beginning. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the jurors felt that way prior to when they had to deliberate.
It's jurors.
Determined in their minds prior to when they ever heard any shred of evidence.
Well, you do have a thing called voir dire or voir dire, where you can question the prospective witnesses and make sure that they're fair and impartial. And by the way, Alec Murdaugh wanted the trial in that courthouse. That was his home court advantage. That's where he won all those millions of dollars down there in the low country. But it turned out the way it did. But now, I am not necessarily shocked that Buster Murdaugh doesn't think necessarily, I'm not sure if he necessarily thinks his father is guilty or it just wasn't a fair trial. But it's always difficult for parents, for children, to believe that one parent killed the other. And it doesn't matter how old they are, how well educated they are. It's difficult for them to accept that. But the evidence in this case was overwhelming, and he was in there for all of it. But I'm wondering if he saw and heard it a little bit differently than the rest of us. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight live in studio, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former prosecutor Daryl Cohen. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler. And finally, the man behind the glasses, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Great to see everyone.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having us. Are you surprised by the way I mean, we all watched this trial. We all heard the evidence. I mean, there was no evidence that anyone else did or could have committed this murder. Like, if there was evidence, we would have seen it.
There's the mystery third person article that's still out there. I know the jury thoroughly rejected that, but there's still considerations.
If Buster wants to hire me to file this appeal, I'll happily say it isn't fair and file it for him.
I guarantee he's still got lots of funds for it.
Look, you've got a child. There's a blender going on in his head. Mom and my brother are dead. My dad couldn't have done it. So he heard the evidence in a way that he needed to hear the evidence in his view, because he can't bring back his mom. He can't have his brother return. So he did what he thought he needed to do.
I don't agree. I don't see how. I could see during when he got arrested, there'd be some denial and some selective listening and these kinds of things. But like you just said, he sat through that entire trial. And some of that reality has to have sunk in by this point. It's crazy that it doesn't. And I agree with you, the trust fund, is probably blinding him as well. Because if he had to go out and earn a living.
What trust fund? Where's his trust fund?
That's where all the money's buried.
They were plenty smart about asset planning, protection, and things like that. Sophisticated, fancy lawyer families had stuff set up before.
Heck yes.
I feel sorry for this young man because there's no way that he could come out a winner. His dad is a convicted murderer. His mom is gone. His brother is gone. He can't win. He just tries to lose a little bit less.
I'm going to agree with Darren. No, I'm going to agree with Darren. I feel bad for the kid because clearly his life has been completely ruined due to something that he didn't have
He had nothing to do with.
He had nothing to do with this, but I think he was part of an entire family that was highly dysfunctional and did things that were not.
Well, how is that his
moral.
fault?
Yeah.
How is that his fault?
He's not 12.
It's not his fault, but also I think it's interesting. He's not saying dad's innocent, dad didn't do it, because it's disrespectful to the memory of his mom.
Right.
And I don't care how
what else
bad
he's saying in this interview.
Yes.
We'll put it up on the screen. When asked if the term psychopath accurately describes his father, he responded, Buster Murdaugh, I'm not prepared to sit here and say that it encompasses him as a whole, but certainly I think there are characteristics where you look at the manipulation and the lies and the carrying out of that and I think that is a fair assessment. I do not think he could be affiliated with endangering my mother and brother. We have been here for a while now, and that's been my stance.
That's pretty much lawyer talk. What does he say? What is he saying there?
He's saying, I love my dad.
I love
The
my mom.
description is there. It's accurate. I loved my mom. I loved my brother. I don't know what to say. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that he agreed
my
to an
issue.
interview. That shocks me and surprises me. And maybe it's cathartic for him to get out and be able to do that.
Well, there's two parts of Alec Murdaugh, right? So the financial crimes and the stealing and all the lying, and then the murders. So I see him sort of compartmentalizing that to saying, yeah, this is a guy who'll steal money and maybe had a drug problem, but he's not buying that he would kill Paw and Maggie.
Absolutely agree that he compartmentalizes himself to protect, and that's self-protection. I also think that what he's really getting at is how the system failed, because even though if his dad may have done some stuff, the truth never came out. And I think that his chief vector of complaint is against a system that failed him, failed his family, and the truth
I
has
hope,
never
and
come
I
out.
hope when the rest of the interview comes out, there's more follow-up on why this wasn't fair.
Exactly.
I'm trying to figure it out because that's his courthouse.
It's not fair because it was a verdict that he did not want to see happen to his dad. And you have to remember, he's going to have to live with this for the rest of his life.
But the whole storyline is not just the murders. I'm not saying that's not horribly, debilitating to lose your sibling and your mother. But what I'm saying is this was a lot of things happening prior to that. And you can't turn a blind eye to that.
And following up on that, and I know where you're from, Vinny, the kids of some of these crime organizations, and bluntly, if you believe all the allegations against Alec Murdaugh, he was running a fraud-based law firm that robbed people left, right, and center.
Yeah, it was not the whole firm, though.
Not the whole firm.
It was
No,
him.
not the
It
whole
was-
firm.
Because he
It
was
him.
stealing money from the firm itself.
So he was Teflon Alec for a while.
Well, Teflon Alec, I hate to say, I don't think the kids are that dumb. Kids pick up on stuff at home all the time.
You think that they knew that he was this
They
level of
smelled a
fraud?
rat. They knew something wasn't right. It doesn't get to that level of fraud and not everyone else not knowing what's happening.
Absolutely does. It's
His
my dad.
law partners didn't know. His own law partners didn't know.
I'm going to tell you, as a law partner and a former law partner, every lawyer in America is grumbling at you right now, Vinny. You know what your
Not this
partners are
lawyer.
doing in small.
That's not
You
true.
know what your partners are doing from the 10,000-foot view. You should know what
You
you're.
should.
Yeah,
know.
You should, but you
should.
inherently trust them. Why would you not trust
But if you're a business
Murdoch?
owner, you pay attention to the books. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, how ridiculous is the cross-examination of? So
But
where did the mystery money with no corroboration come from, and where did it go?
As long
Are
as
you
it's
kidding
reported,
me?
I don't care. Say the lawyer, say the partner.
But during the course of the trial, when the issue about the money first reared its head to the bookkeeper, and then she called in one of the other partners, then things accelerated.
Yeah,
Things accelerated. That's when they, oh my goodness, that's when they realized what was happening.
When you put a hole in the bottom of the boat, all the rats run. Come on now.
Analogy.
And those
That's
guys go,
true.
oh my
But
Lord.
these guys were lending him money on good faith and then not
But see,
getting
that
paid
should
back.
have been a smelly thing as well.
Yeah, you ever do
They
business with
trusted
a crook?
him.
He was my partner. I've known him forever.
They're like family.
He's hurting. He's hurting.
Oh,
No.
this
Oh,
guy
absolutely.
pulled. I'm sorry about saying a curse word. This guy pulled
Can
stuff
we just get us
beforehand.
muted?
Yeah.
Yes.
Standards and practices, go get them. But I'm telling you, there's no way that somebody else didn't smell the smell.
Thank you.
No,
No
I
way.
disagree.
So you
They
think the
didn't
law
want to.
partners know?
I don't-
You think the family knew?
They didn't want to. You don't want to know. You close your eyes.
Wow.
You close your ears.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, buddy. If you're not in any trouble or anything, there is a burglary that happened. You kind of fit the description. Let me just make
Are you good? I'm Mary Claire Jelonic. I work for the Associated Press. I cover Congress and the Senate for AP. And Mitch McConnell will be back at work next week, along with the rest of the Senate. And as he returns, there's going to be a lot of questions about his health. And twice now that he's frozen up at press conferences, the Capitol physician, who is a doctor who treats members of Congress, said that Mitch McConnell is still cleared to work and that he had consulted with his neurology team. But we still haven't been given by McConnell or the Capitol physician or anyone else any additional information about what his medical condition is.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
The two incidents seemed very similar, where he suddenly trailed off after being lucid and was not able to speak, and then later recovered and came back and spoke, answered questions from reporters. His staff said both times that it was simply lightheadedness.
Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, had another episode where he froze and was unresponsive during a news conference. It happened today in Covington, Kentucky.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Head outside, so come with us. Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
What efforts is Daniel Cameron going to have to make on the campaign trails when Kentucky is over in November?
Senator Daniel Cameron, do you have a comment on Daniel Cameron?
Well, I think the governor's race is going to be very close. Far and away the best candidate we could have nominated. And the state has become increasingly Republican. In fact, the governor's the only Democrat left in Frankfurt. So I'm optimistic that Daniel will be our next governor of Kentucky.
He needs to fucking retire.
The incident is not dissimilar from what we saw at the Capitol just over a month ago. Senator McConnell, who is 81, was hospitalized in March after suffering a concussion after he fell at a hotel here in Washington, D.C. Since then, CNN has reported on other instances in which McConnell fell that his office had not disclosed. Let's bring in CNN's Manu Raju and Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Manu, first to you. You know, obviously it's difficult to watch this. How is Senator McConnell doing now? What is his staff saying?
Well, his staff is saying that he is feeling, quote, fine. And they said that he was going to consult with a doctor before he had a second event in Kentucky, a private event later in the day. But there's no word yet on what the doctor told him, what the diagnosis was, or why exactly he froze. They did say that he paused because he was.
Look, it doesn't matter if he's 81 years old. My granddad's older than 81. It's not about that. He's obviously having some cognitive issues. But if you don't have those issues, if you're still pretty sharp, like there are other people just as old or a little bit younger, right around the age of my granddad, and they all still teach and or substitute teach and stuff, because they like to stay active. I mean, some people are just like that.
Lightheaded at that moment. That's a similar explanation that they gave back in July when he froze for roughly 30 seconds during that news conference. After that incident happened, I asked McConnell whether or not that was related to the fall that he had in March, where he hit his head, suffered a concussion, broke ribs. He didn't say if that was the case, simply said that he is fine. So not much indicating about what no real response yet from his office about the underlying cause of all of this, but undoubtedly causing some concern. He has been on the phone, Jake, with some other Republicans, including the number 2 Republican, John Thune, someone who could potentially succeed McConnell as leader. Thune said that in a statement that
So it'd be funny if they didn't intervene so quickly this time and sat there and see like what he fucking would do. Like, would he eventually just stand there like that? How long would he stay? Would he eventually say, "What'd you say?" Or next question?
McConnell sounded like his usual self, was in good spirits, didn't provide any other details about that day.
All right. Sanjay, you're a neurosurgeon. I don't want to be rude about it, but that's not somebody who just feels lightheaded. What do you see in the video of this latest episode?
Yeah, I mean, what we see is someone who essentially is freezing, and this is a term that's often used when describing various neurological things. He's obviously freezing. He's not saying anything. His face is sort of frozen in that position, but also even his hands. If you look at that video, his hands are sort of really attached to the lectern. His aide comes over, tries to get him to raise his hand. He's sort of really holding on very closely. It's very, very tightly, I should say, to that lectern. You know, there's a lot of things that can sort of come to mind. The more you know about the various neurological conditions, the longer the list is. But certain things like stroke or things like that are probably less likely. He walks away and he's moving his arms and his legs as he walks away. Seizure is less likely as well. There's about 30 seconds where he appears to have some component of freezing. I think what really struck me, and I think Manu alluded to this, is that his aides don't seem that surprised by this. So we've seen this episode a couple of times, but you get the impression that it happens more often because this is something that they're used to dealing with. And if I remember correctly, as Manu has reported, last time it's not even clear that he saw a doctor after these episodes. So they don't seem like they're that entirely surprising. So while it's, as you said, hard to watch, it doesn't seem like this is just.
Hey, old Mitch McConnell, bruh. Old Mitchy boy. I want to check something out. What y'all think about Donald may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment, the United States Constitution. Brownie boy, what you doing, boy? Hey, I ain't doing nothing. Leave me alone. Hold on.
Question: go slow or go speedy? It is tricky for both prosecutors and for Mr. Trump. Ask different lawyers and you'll find varying answers about the strength of the Fulton County case against the president. And in case that wasn't enough to keep track of, yet another legal fight over what the Constitution
Stop
allows
chasing them squirrels, boy.
is taking shape.
You better stop chasing them
I want to
squirrels. They're
bring
gonna
in now
get you.
Jamie Raskin, the congressman from Maryland. Thank you so much, Congressman, for joining me. Let's start with the question of what I was just mentioning,
They'll bite
which
you.
is the fourth arrest. You have seen, first of all, how incredibly viral this mugshot has gone, given how intensely political it is, and that is obviously an expected thing. Do you think taking that mugshot was necessary?
Well, I think the critical thing is that Donald Trump and his co-defendants be treated exactly like everybody else would be treated in a similar prosecution. Fani Willis, the prosecutor involved, has undertaken numerous state RICO prosecutions, and as long as this is consistent with everything that's happened before, I think that's the right thing to do.
Former federal prosecutor in DeKalb and Cobb County said that the racketeering charge might seem like a little too much to a jury. He told the Wall Street Journal, quote, I like the state side, but it's not a slam dunk. Anytime you bring a RICO case when it's not against the mafia, there's a chance that the jury thinks the case is overcharged. There's a massive danger in jury nullification. Do you share that concern?
Well, RICO has been used mostly not against the mafia. If you look at all of the RICO.
Well, see, they can instruct the jurors on juror nullification, but what if you get a jury landed that is majority of them are biased and decide, then again, they could just decide to find him not guilty. and there'd be a lot less controversy over it. Now, if they tried to do jury nullification, the court wouldn't like it, but if nobody recommended it to him, because you just can't. And that's what we saw in the Daryl Brooks case. He tried to, as if they were gonna fucking nullify the law for his fucking case. In that sense, like he killed people, dude. You're stupid. Anyways, but that is a possibility. I didn't even think about that.
At the federal and state level. And of course, there would be something strange about a law that applies only to one group. It applies to a pattern of racketeering activity that is organizing people together into a conspiracy in order to achieve an illegal end. In this case, the overthrow of a presidential election, and substituting a counterfeit process made up of fake electors for the actual process that the people voted on. So there are lots of component criminal parts to it, and there were a lot of people involved. And that to me seems as if it's custom made for a RICO prosecution, the way that we've developed it. If people want to talk about reforming the RICO statute, then we can analyze that, but it's been upheld against constitutional attack repeatedly.
5 of the 19 individuals charged as part of this conspiracy are now asking to move to federal court. And it raises questions about whether a state can charge individuals for actions that they allegedly took when they were federal officials. Do you believe that these cases dealing with individuals who were working for the federal government or elected officials in the federal government, like the president, belong in federal court?
Well, there's no question that a state has the power to prosecute someone who is a federal official or a federal employee. I mean, just think about a federal official or employee who engages in a bank robbery or a murder. Obviously, the state would get to prosecute.
Just like the federal government could prosecute a state employee of a state government.
There is a statute which says that if a federal officer or employee is conducting their federal work under an order from a superior to execute a federal policy, then they can petition to have that removed to federal court if they're being prosecuted for work they were doing as part of their job. So that, of course, raises the question when Mark Meadows tries to remove from Georgia state court to federal court, whether he was actually engaged in the work of the federal government and he was acting pursuant to a federal policy. The court is going to have to rule on that. In any event, even if it is removed, all that this means is that the federal court will conduct the state criminal prosecution under the auspices of the federal judiciary.
So you're saying it doesn't have much of a pragmatic change. I mean, one obvious change is you won't actually see it. In Georgia, you would actually have a camera in the courtroom. But beyond that?
That's right. Well, we won't be able to see it. And also, obviously, after 4 years of packing the courts with Federalist Society bloggers, someone like Mark Meadows is going to feel a lot more comfortable in federal court. There is a political irony there, of course, because these are supposedly the big champions of state courts and state law, but they're trying to flee from it as quickly as possible to get into the warmer climate of the federal judiciary, which they have worked so hard to gerrymander.
A judge in Georgia is now saying that fake elector mastermind Kenneth Chesebro's racketeering trial will start on October 23rd. That's just about 2 months from now. Will it help Donald Trump and other defendants like Rudy Giuliani or Mark Meadows to see?
Oh, shit. The fuck is
Meet
this?
Ambassador John Bolton, a career diplomat who served in almost every U.S. presidential administration over the past 40 years. Bolton started as a political appointee in the administrations of Presidents Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Later, he went on to serve under George W. Bush, first as his Undersecretary of State, then as U.S. Ambassador to the UN. Over the years, Bolton gained a reputation for being a hawk on foreign policy. He also became known for his harsh criticism of multilateral institutions like the United Nations.
Some have said that sending you to New York would be like sending Nixon to China. I'm concerned it'll be more like sending a bull into a china shop.
In 2018, then President Donald Trump chose Bolton to be his national security advisor. The appointment gave Bolton unprecedented powers. For 17 months, he was one of the most prominent figures in the Trump White House, until he was abruptly fired. Bolton has written a book about his experience, The Room Where It Happened. I had a chance to sit down with him in Washington, D.C. to learn more about it and to ask him about his future plans. This is The Interview.
Justice filed submitted criminal charges against the IRGC for their efforts, and like a number of other present and former officials, I am receiving protection because of these Iranian threats. It shows something about the nature of the regime in Tehran, that this is the kind of policy they pursue.
How do you feel about it?
Well, it's better than the alternative. Let's put it that way. It's not that different than when I was National Security Advisor, so I'd gotten used to it before.
There was a $300,000 bounty on your head. How did that number feel? The fact that there was a number and the 300K, what went through your mind?
Well, I was kind of embarrassed by it. I thought it was, I thought it was
you were
way too low.
worth
Yeah.
more.
My only criticism of the FBI was they couldn't get a higher price.
Yeah. Tell me what's going on with you. Are you going to run for president?
People been chatting. Oh yeah, we got some chat. It's probably some bullshit. What's up, Carrie? What's up, Jack? What's up, my bird? Fuck Scooter Baggins. Fuck Citizen Z. Fuck y'all. Why should I drop a link for y'all's ugly ass? Why these jokers in here? Where my mods at? Carrie, you a mod, man. Why ain't you getting these worky turds up out of here, bro? Now y'all got me. Now you got me suspicious.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I think it's very important that Donald Trump not get the Republican Party nomination, and I think it's very important, given the challenges and threats to the United States in the world today, that we have a very serious discussion about what our national security priorities are. Want to see what the race looks like right now.
Man, I'll tell you what our priorities are. They ain't been shit.
On the edge of the water, waiting to see
what
what
they've
happens.
been.
It's been a very strange cycle, and I think will continue to be.
Your time with Donald Trump as the national security advisor, for many people, it brought about a certain amount of entertainment as well. The relationship and then the fallout.
Obviously, he didn't
names
enjoy
on
it.
Twitter and elsewhere. Why did you even take the job, since it seemed that you two were so fundamentally different?
Well, it didn't strike me at the beginning that there would be fundamental differences. After all, as many people have observed with a smile on their face, he had watched me on Fox News for many years. I don't think I got the job because I was such a telegenic personality, but I did think that if somebody was watching me on TV, they would listen to what I say and have some understanding of what I was driving at. So it didn't occur to me at the beginning that there would be fundamental differences, number one. And number two, I believed that, having heard everything I had heard about Donald Trump, and there was plenty out there, that nonetheless, like every other American president before him, the gravity of the responsibilities, the nature of the decisions, certainly on national security matters that he would have to take, would produce a kind of discipline and a willingness to understand complex problems that would provide discipline, and that we would have an orderly decision-making process like other presidents. Now, I turned out to be wrong on that he didn't seem affected by the gravity of the office. He didn't, frankly, seem to understand many of his responsibilities. And an orderly decision-making process was the furthest thing from his mind. But that was something that that it took me a while to grasp, that somebody could be so immune to the sensitivity, the importance, the consequence of their decisions, that everything would be focused simply through the prism of how does this benefit Donald Trump.
Is it of any surprise to you then
that there's the claim that he mishandled very sensitive documents?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I don't think he fully appreciated the reason why documents were classified, the harm that could be caused to the United States if the information in those documents became public, not just because of the disclosure of the information, but because of the risk in the case of intelligence to sources and methods being exposed. We had a number of occasions where he wouldn't give documents back to briefers. There was one famous example where he had a picture of a failed missile launch in Iran that he tweeted within a few minutes after the briefers leaving the Oval Office. So seeing the allegations in the indictment that have been filed against him and other stories that have emerged, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me.
Why didn't you help out those congressmen who wanted to impeach the president, who had impeached?
Yeah, what about that? What about that? Ain't got nothing to say to that.
Marjorie. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can pretty much just tell us what you were sharing over there really quick.
Well, this is a devastating day for America. Georgia is embarrassed and ashamed of this Fulton County DA that's abusing her office to go after and arrest the president.
You can tell the newswoman is like, yeah, he belongs in there.
And I'll tell you right now, in the state of Georgia, I met with GMA last week. This is a statistic
This
that
MAGA
everyone needs to
bitch.
understand. In the state of Georgia, a child is sold for sex. A child is sold for sex over 7,200 times every single month. But here, this disgrace of an attorney, the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, is abusing her power to go after and arrest Trump. She's not using her power of prosecution to go after child sex traffickers, go after gang members that are linked to the Mexican cartels. She's not doing this to go after murderers. We have the same murder rate as Chicago. This is an embarrassment.
Damn.
You're talking about sex trafficking. What's your source? What's your source?
GMA.
Who's GMA?
Georgia Emergency Management Agency.
Have you had any
A
communication-
government agency. That is
Marjorie, have you had any communication with the former president at all today?
Yes, of course. I'm in constant communication with him. I support President Trump. I just came from the Republican debate in Milwaukee last night. Landed here this morning. The reason why I'm here is because this is my home state. I was born and raised in the state of Georgia, and I'm here as a Georgian. I'm also here as a member of Congress. We're going to be standing up against the weaponized government. We're launching an investigation into Fani Willis through the Judiciary Committee, and we go back into session.
Last question about Fani Willis. You know that she did get the approval for the trial date to be moved up. Do you have any comment on that?
Fuck that
My comment to Fani Willis is we're going to make sure that she loses her job.
What do you think she's
done? Yeah.
What
That
did
bitch
she do wrong?
disbarred.
This is called weaponized government.
What does that mean?
The weaponized government is
She's weaponizing the political arm. She's weaponizing her office for political agenda. That's what it is.
she's using her office for politics.
Okay, so
She's going
she-
after Joe Biden's top political opponent.
So you don't think
Going to
Trump
win the
made any of
Republican
these-
primary. No, these are fake charges. Why? He's being arrested because he uses freedom of speech. He's not allowed to say what he thinks and feels about his 2020 election. He didn't break the law. Joe Biden broke the law.
Do you have any
Joe
concern?
Joe Biden
Do you have any concerns that any of the other 19?
Over 50 years, using people
Yeah.
just like you, tens of millions, yes, just like you. No, you probably voted for him. That's your president.
Do you have any concerns that any of the people that are indicted are going to take any deals in this case?
I don't know. Those are questions for their attorneys, but I think it's shameful. These people are having to pay for attorneys, have to defend themselves. They are having to be the victim of the weaponized government happening here in Georgia, and our state legislature needs to do something about it.
As a former president asked you to be a running mate, or have you had any conversations with him about that?
The president will pick who he chooses for his running mate. Right now, I'm serving Georgia's 14th congressional district.
Thank you still endorse President Trump?
Yeah.
The president's feeling outraged. He's the victim of the weaponized government. This should not be happening. You know, the Democrat Party should be able to run on their own policies, and their policies right now are nearly $4 a gallon gasoline. Their policies right now, they've doubled food prices with inflation. Their policies right now are wide open borders where drugs Over 300 fentanyl deaths every single day in America. Here in our state, over 250% increase in fentanyl deaths. That's Fonnie Willis, everybody. That's what she's doing. She's not prosecuting these crimes.
Fonnie Willis is bringing fentanyl into the country. Yeah, you're saying they're weaponizing the government, but he can just fight this in court. I think it's
Why should he? No, why should he?
Shouldn't every person have their day in court, though?
Why should he even be in court? Why? Because he said my election was stolen. Is that a crime? Hillary Clinton said the same thing. Guess what? Stacey Abrams said the same thing right here in Georgia when she ran for governor. And every single Democrat all came out and said the elections were stolen. The elections were stolen. Did anyone see?
What about Brad Raffensperger, though? Brad Raffensperger, he straight up said that there was no issues in our.
He's being right.
What is Brad
No, I'm
Raffensperger?
sorry. We had to hire an attorney and do a FOIA request because my ex-husband was told that he voted by absentee ballot. You guys look this up. This is in the news. He was told when he showed up to vote in 2020 that he voted by absentee ballot, and he said, "No, I didn't. I didn't even request one." And then he had to sign an affidavit to surrender an absentee ballot that he never voted on. And we were accused and called liars for that until we hired an attorney and we had to FOIA the information. And guess what? It turns out it was all true, exactly what he said. So there was fraud in the the and it's a serious issue. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, you shouldn't care about your elections.
Have you spoken with Trump today? Spoken with him. Do you expect to see him?
President Trump will be coming in for this shameful event, and then he'll be leaving. And I don't blame him. I'm sure he'll be ready to go.
What do you think about the debate yesterday? Vivek Ramaswamy.
I thought Vivek did a good job. He actually stood up for America First policies, and he was the only one on the stage that made any sense. The rest of them sounded like George Bush Republicans.
So is Vivek 24 or is Vivek?
I'm Trump 24. Trump 24 all the way.
His supporters today.
Will he speak to his supporters? They're asking if Trump is going to speak to supporters.
Yes.
He says yes. She says yes.
Former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty today to charges in Georgia that accuse him and 18 allies of trying to upend the 2020 presidential election results in that state. The plea allows Mr. Trump to avoid an in-person arraignment next week. For more on the latest developments in that case, we're joined now by Stephen Fowler, who covers politics for Georgia Public Broadcasting. Steve, thank you for being with us. So Donald Trump pleading not guilty, what exactly does that mean for his arraignment? And what else is he seeking in this Fulton County case?
Tell you, people don't need to be calling me. Oh, I should have took that call. Hold on. Oh, shit. That's a fucking problem. All right, I'm back. Let's see. This is interesting. Court stuff.
Okay, anything we need to do before we bring the jury in the court?
Oh, yes, sir. We do. I have been tendered audio recordings, at least 2 of them, Your Honor, in the last 2 days. One of them had Miss Amanda Dillon and Detective Jeff Rogers sitting in on an interview with a witness prior to Twin Peaks, Your Honor, that contains information that is exculpatory and that seriously undermines the state's theory of prosecution.
First of all,
Excuse me.
I'm going to object.
May I finish?
No, I'm going to object to the statement right there. These interviews happened after the Twin Peaks shooting. Any assertion of otherwise would just be a flat lie.
Well,
May I finish? I'm sorry. Make the record, Judge.
you may make a record.
Thank you. There are 2 interviews with this particular individual, one prior to Twin Peaks and one after Twin Peaks.
Judge, I'm going to object to the statement of facts.
We can play them in open court. But the point, Your Honor, is that this district attorney's office, including Mr. Jarrett and Ms. Dillon and Mr. Reyna, are sitting in a room where witnesses 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, are making exculpatory statements. And they say that they don't have possession of the recording, but that they had actual knowledge of the contents of the recording. And I'm happy to recite page and verse, Your Honor, of the witnesses and the statements that they've made that frankly should have prevented the state from sponsoring the testimony of all 3 of their quote unquote experts and would have materially changed my cross-examination of every witness that has testified, save for the first young woman who was a waitress at Twin Peaks. No, she was a cook at Twin Peaks. I mean, I don't know how this isn't Brady, and it is certainly willful. And that fine line of saying, well, we didn't have the recording, you were there. They were physically present in the room when the statements were made. I've made written requests for a statement that was just tendered to me today.
Judge, I'm going to object to counsel testifying. If there's no legal objection, she'll have to make it.
Man, I want that attorney.
I'll take the stand. These are absolute facts, Your Honor, that have prejudiced Jake Carzal's right to a fair trial.
Judge, the facts, if I could state something real quick, the facts are that there is a co-defendant of Mr. Carzal who voluntarily came and spoke with the district attorney's office with his attorney present. The fact that somebody, a co-defendant, came in and lied to the district attorney's office is not an unusual thing. This information that he lied about then is the same information he's lied about before. No, we didn't sponsor this witness's testimony. We don't intend to call him as a witness. So to make these assertions, it's just plain false. The state's ready to proceed at this time.
Your Honor, I would just direct the court's attention to ex parte David Mark Temple. It is not within the province of the district attorney's authority to determine whether or not a statement is credible or false. Ms. Sigler tried that. If it is contrary to the state's theory of prosecution, and let's face it, this has been a circumstantial case at best, they are duty bound to give that information to the defense. They don't get to just say that it's false.
Again, I object to that. The state's theory of this case is not based on a witness statement from a gang member. The state's theory of this case is testimony by your client on his text messages to other gang members, on his actions that are videotaped in Waco, Texas on May 17, 2015, on his actions before, during, and after the crime. The fact that he's continued to be a bandito, the fact that he's ascended to the rank of president after the crime, the evidence is very clear in this case and has nothing to do with the statement of a Cossack, one of his co-defendants.
Your Honor, how many times has the state-sponsored testimony that the conflict at Twin Peaks was about a Texas bottom rocker? 3 separate times. And you can say it's a co-defendant, it's a Cossack. This man was a Cossack, and he's saying that there was no conflict over the Texas rocker. What effect does that have on the state's theory all the way up until now? Because we heard so much testimony about that Texas bottom rocker, and they've got evidence of a Cossack saying, and even a non-club member saying that he was present at their patch party, and there was no beef over any Texas bottom rocker. That is wholly inconsistent with the state's theory of prosecution.
Judge, the information that Ms. Gotro received this morning is confirmation from confidential informants that are very well connected to a certain organization that this was over a Texas bottom rocker. To say otherwise is just untrue.
So in addition to the allegation under Brady and Maryland, Brady v. Maryland, Kyles v. Whitley, it's 3.09D. The prosecution must turn over evidence that is exculpatory, that is inconsistent with their theory, irrespective of their assessment of the credibility of it, Your Honor. I'd like the court. I'd like to know how long they had it and why they didn't give it to us. I have a stack of subpoenas trying to get this stuff, Judge, and then suddenly it appears at this last hour. You were in the room.
Okay. What relief are you asking the court?
I would like the court to dismiss the charges for prosecutorial misconduct, for willfully hiding and sitting on information that completely guts their case, Judge. I've outlined all three of those men's statements. I mean, I don't see how there's anything fair about this. They were in the room. You were there.
Actually, Ms. Cottrell, if you want to listen to that tape again, Mr. Ring and I left the room shortly after he started because he's such a liar.
Miss Dillon was there the whole
You just said I
time.
was.
You started there. Well, you didn't announce your presence or your exit.
Okay.
But you knew.
All right.
I knew a liar was in a room. You're correct about
He's
it.
lying because it's inconsistent with your theory.
My theory is your client committed a crime. He text messaged before,
I have
after
a
the
theory
crime.
about his crimes.
Okay. Let's address the court. Let's not be arguing between the attorneys. Then the defense's motion to dismiss is denied at this time. Anything else we need to take up before we bring the jury in the court?
Yeah, Your Honor, at this point, if my motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct and the willful hiding of exculpatory evidence is denied, I need a continuance so I can read the information that I've just gotten this morning. I don't even know what's in this report, Judge.
Exactly. They're trying to railroad. I mean, she cited the law. I don't understand what the problem is.
45-minute recess this time.
A 45, no, 45-minute recess. And tell me that some courts don't favor prosecutions over defense attorneys. And they're not supposed to have one side or the other.
Let's go back on the record, please. I do have.
So, do we got anything for tonight? And I had forgot, you know, like, I know I made that one community post, but I forgot just in a way that I wasn't going to be talking about my, I mean, I already shared the fact, and I can share the fact that I'm not, you know, and can assert it with full confidence that I'm on like day of 9, going on 10 now, since started the first day of not taking any Ativan. So I got that accomplished so far. I had a little issue on the other, but you know, like I said, I'm not, you know, I'm keeping that private. I'm wanting to. I mean, I'll say this, like, I may end up having to, and I've already kind of asked and made the reservation for a spot. I had to go back where I was, and because it was becoming a lot, so I may have to do that. That's, I mean, so if I'm gone or whatever, then you know why. I mean, I have the option to still try to do it outpatient if I want to, but I don't know. I can also just choose to stay on just this dose for a little bit while, maybe. I don't know. I've got to consult and shit. All right, so do we got anything scheduled for tonight? She didn't schedule anything. Okay, I didn't know. I don't know if we're doing anything tonight or not. But the fuck is this? Whoever's pretending to be from fucking Arkansas, stop fucking trying to call me. Alright? You're blocked. This motherfucker is, these motherfuckers just don't know when to stop. This is crazy. Hold on. Well, of course you don't, but you didn't mind fucking rallying people for your shit. Because look, you got affected by the big mean celebrity. How dare a celebrity have a fucking opinion or something? Right? Isn't that the argument, right? On Ryan's side and the people that support him think the lawsuit's bullshit. I mean, I'm just wondering because you want people to rally behind you on that, but you give a fuck less about this guy down at the bottom. I mean, you really could give a shit less about though how what's been done to him. And I think this is a little bit has to do with people can get mad if they want to, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It's the case of the people doing stuff to you, they're not rich, well-known celebrity and should be held to as they feel like a higher standard, et cetera, compared to other people. So you're just fucking shit out of luck, Johnny. Oh, and even though Ryan has done shit, I would say it would be more to Johnny, like making songs and all that other shit. Like he didn't make Herp Lip song or anything like that. Like, yeah, I don't know, Anime. You kind of coming off to be a hypocrite. Well, the past, why y'all tried to fucking sue Ride? She got a mole. Big fucking deal. That has, y'all are still trying to fucking try to say that Miss Patty's not pretty or anything. Y'all are crazy. Like, big fucking deal. She obviously isn't concerned with it because I'm pretty sure before all this shit happened, all these years, if she wanted to get rid of it, her son probably would have paid for laser removal surgery, whatever. If that was a big fucking deal to her, she obviously doesn't give a shit. Well, there's a difference between a fucking sore on your lip and a mole above the lip. One is herpes and the other is a fucking benign mole. Huh. So, I mean, I see what you tried to do there, but I think you fucked up. What? Kyle Rittenhouse is getting sued. You are not. Tell me that it. Don't tell me fucking Rosenbaum's family is suing him. I'll be fucking livid. Is it Gage Grosskreutz, the one that survived, that got shot in the bicep? Oh my God, the fucking pervert. Great. He's pervert in my opinion. Just let me stress that. That's bullshit. How could it fucking be called in the suit wrongful death when a jury determined it wasn't a wrongful death, that he defended himself? So I don't see how that has any fucking bearing at all. Huh. Yeah, fuck the people that are trying to protect businesses and shit. Hey, but don't you fucking dare try to fucking arrest or hem up them people walking down the street with bulges in their backpack that have bricks in them and Molotov cocktails and shit, because they got a right to be out. These vigilantes have no right to be out. How dare they try to defend fucking property and people from getting hurt in a riot? How dare they? Yeah, deputized. When the fuck did they fucking go out there and hand out little badges and fucking give them the oath? Get fucking real. You don't have to be deputized to fucking take part in a citizen arrest or fucking any type of, like, I mean, if you see somebody that's out running or whatever, or trying to get away from the police, and you got the ability to stop that person, you think they're gonna charge the person that stopped the guy running that may have just killed somebody or something because he tackled him and gave him a couple boo-boos? Because they were not fucking out there They were not out there trying to protest past curfew. They were not out there trying to start anything. They were out there trying to lend a fucking hand because shit was fucking popping off, and you had a huge number of people threatening basic law and order, businesses, and all types. And when you got people that own those businesses and tell somebody like, hey, yeah, you want to help do me a solid and protect the place? Yeah, you got the permission to be there. Guess what? That's no different than if the business owner was there themselves and doing it, which they would have a right to do. And being that they was on private property of a business and had permission to be there, they're not out. I mean, besides when they had to fucking flee because of exigent circumstances of people coming on and trespassing on private property and trying to take people's guns away from them or tackle and hit them with bricks and shit. You know, I fucking would have went off the property and violated curfew too. Indiscriminately. Well, I tell you what, for a place that was crowded, 360 degrees of people all around, he sure fucking didn't miss one shot for firing so indiscriminately. He hit every single target that fucking attacked him. If I'm not mistaken, if a shot or two went out, well, it obviously didn't hit anybody else, because then that would have been a wrongful death. Then there would have been able to have been civil liability. However, whether or not he would have been charged criminally is another story, because when you're in that situation, all them people around, he couldn't help it if the bullet goes out of one person and hits another, or if it just barely grazes them and hits somebody behind them. You know, you're supposed, I mean, that's one part. If you ever listen to videos about it, they talk about target isolation and knowing what's beyond your target and stuff. And it's like that guy that shot at those two people trying to break into his house. See, the thing that saved him was that he had looked through the doorbell camera app, and so he could see them, but he still couldn't control some of his shots, and not some, more the majority of them went all into the apartment right across. If somebody was in there, yeah, they would have got injured. Would he have been charged criminally? Depends. I don't think so. Could he have been sued civilly? Of course he could. More than likely, he would be. Narrowly missed. Well, that's not. Did he miss, or did he just almost miss? I don't. What do you mean narrowly missed? And let's put it this way too. I'm sure he was in one of them states where, number one, he had no right, because he was already a felon. Forget the fact that he had also just got released from a fucking mental treatment, whether or not it was involuntary hold or voluntary. I don't think it still is not a good look. He has a history of charges is very fucked up. So I have no sympathy for his deceased ass. I don't blame Kyle whatsoever. He was doing what he chose to volunteer to do that night. Do you understand that if you have a security officer somewhere that's guarding a business, people don't freak out? Because guess what? He's not going to have to pull his weapon out and use it unless somebody does something stupid. Just because they were walking around with guns slung over themselves doesn't mean they wanted to use the fucking things. These people, it's just like the prosecutor. He thought, and he even tried to get it admitted as evidence. The judge wouldn't allow it in, but he tried to get in the fact that he had said on another occasion something to the effect of when he was watching shoplifters, I think on TV or something, he had wished that he could be there and could stop them. You know, so they're trying to allege that he had it in his mind to be out for blood, you know, and use the protest rioting as an excuse to do it. But that's complete bullshit. Because if so, then why didn't he shoot a bunch more people? Why didn't he just shoot somebody for not even messing with him? But because or for shoplifting. He never once shot anybody, I don't think. I don't think anybody shot anybody unless they were trying to and when they tried to vandalize businesses, I think it's a practice that you don't shoot at the person, you shoot, like up in the air or in the direction away from the target in a way, like, kind of like in the sense of a warning shot. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a fucking expert in any of that shit. I wouldn't do it. I mean, that's just me. Now, then again, if I had a family member that had a business or something, I don't know. I can't answer that 100%, but I don't think I generally would because I don't fucking like big crowds as it is. And that's justified. Like, I mean, he probably didn't at first think about shooting 4 times. He probably intended, just shoot him once or twice. But when you get in that headspace and stuff and your adrenaline starts going off, like, look at some situations. They've got like some recreations of people doing a recreation of a shooting with like dummy rounds and stuff. And 9 times out of 10, when somebody, even police, when they're asked like how many times you fire, they might say 4, 5, 6, and it'll be 12, 13. Because you're amped up. You're in that fight or flight mode. Well, I tell you one, I don't think the world's doing so bad. And there it is. Boy, that's a disaster. Yeah, I'd say if he came back around me later on that night, I'd feel justified using deadly force too, whether it be a bat, whatever. No, he don't. He sounds like a fucking menace. Like he was obviously unstable. He couldn't get his he has bipolar. He couldn't get his medicine. He had just been thinking about killing himself. He didn't give a fuck about if he killed somebody else, obviously. Now, that's not 100% for everybody that thinks or gets into that state. So don't take my words and twist them out my mouth, because that is not true. Now, more than not, people that think are like that are only thinking about themselves. They wouldn't think about trying to harm someone else. Like, they're already thinking about the fact about if they're thinking of what that subject is, and they're conscious enough, they know that just if they were to do that, they're going to be hurting people emotionally in a way. Like, so not everybody that has those struggles is equal. In other words, he had other shit fucking with him too, obviously. Thank God. So basically, this guy's obviously got some relatives or something. The name Rosenbaum actually, just on connotation and in terms of some esoteric connotation, like it's a name that has great wealth and power. So obviously he had, I mean, they're talking about his estate, you know. So this guy, I don't know, maybe he fucking had a trust fund or something. Who knows? But I would imagine this isn't just going on automatically, like by a lawyer firm on his behalf now that he's dead. I would imagine it's got to be some person that he had designated to be his power of attorney or something. I don't know. I have no idea if the dude had children or what it is. Exactly. You know, he wants to go to school. And here he is. He's somebody that's at the right age where, like, if you have an idea of what direction you want to go, like, I wish I had started college a lot earlier than when I had initially done. It's a regret of mine. So, like, I'd imagine that this is fucking with him. And then can you imagine being that part, and then you got to go, like, it'd be hard to go to college anywhere. Motherfuckers can stop popping in and out, in and out. I hear you. You're just gonna have to wait until I get done with the video. Well, technically you can't. I mean, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you can't. Like, I mean, fuck, I can't. In my current state, you know, like, I mean, like, you know, I mean, that's just. I mean, unless I did it with something like a bad or something. Like, I mean, people don't understand. Like, I came across not one but two veterans here recently that I spoke to that had brought up the issue, and that's where I first seen it online, was from a person on Facebook that was a veteran. But that's why there needs to be petitions and appeals to legislators and stuff to get those fucking laws that are basically encroaching on people's constitutional liberties removed, so that people can still be law-abiding citizens. Because, you know, like, I mean, it's never, I mean, unless there's like an impending civil war or overthrow or anything that's going on, like, I don't think it's, there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of things on some threads and stuff, people talking about that they're almost like they can't wait, for shit like that to kick off and they want it to happen in their lifetime and shit. And I'm just like, no, the fuck you don't. You have no idea what you're talking about. And that wouldn't, like I just couldn't see that being, I mean, like nobody wants that. You shouldn't want that to happen. Like if you do, something's wrong with you because God help us if fucking society starts collapsing or in any way or if there's a fucking war. If you can lawfully. Alright. The fuck's happening to my internet? The fuck's back here? What the fuck do you want, Naughty? The fuck you want, bro? Look, I didn't play you, so you can't get mad at me. Oh man, we can't hang out. I don't fucking fuck with you, dude. I mean, like, hold on. Here, you want to hang out? Maybe for a second? Maybe. I gotta. Let's, yeah, do that. There we go.
Yeah, look at that. I'm a handsome motherfucker.
Yeah.
I am. Look at me. Ain't I handsome? Hey, why don't you come over and hang out at JM's? Come and hang out with Scooter.
No.
Come hang out with Scooter and JM.
Nope.
I'm not even
You
mad
know,
about anything. I'm just
I
here to
don't
hang
fuck.
out.
I don't fuck with you guys. Y'all know that.
Well, you could, but you don't want
to.
to.
I'm sticking to it. Y'all have insulted every sensibility and done everything in the world. Like
I've
you
not
don't,
done
you
that.
don't deserve it. Yes, you have.
What have
You've
I?
laughed
What have
at
I
it,
done?
Went along with
So
it.
what?
It's
I
just as
laugh. I
bad.
laugh at a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, keep laughing. You can keep on laughing. Just keep it the fuck away from me. How about that? 'Cause I ain't fucking got the time for the bullshit. I'll tell you that right now. Matter of fact, since that they want to do that, that's my cue to fucking hit the fucking road, Jack. So, I'll see y'all later.
I love this shit. I love this shit. I love this shit. I love this shit. Shout out to all the ladies. Oh boy.
I don't trust nobody. I don't even trust my mind. I'm losing everybody.